Welcome to Cranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Cranky, and this is the Cranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Cranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out, subscribe now to the Cranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Cranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.
Buenos tardes this evening. How's everyone doing? Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Bless up Lansley. Lansley Blake, a voice from the past, a chatter from the past. Lansley, I haven't seen you in a while. You must be out there preaching the word of the Lord. Raining. Bless up Sherman Scott, Tycoon, Ernest. Good evening. Did I say TARDIS? I said it wrong too. That's afternoon. Good evening, everybody. We're back. We have quite a bit of things to talk about today. Quite a bit. So I'm gonna start early. People, am I pouring? Hey, so if I put certain picture up, how we have a laugh, people. I have something to talk about. I'm gonna go through them quickly. I'm gonna start non-sports first, and then let me see if we can't find anything going on the sports. But thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. See, as you come in, people, you know the drill, right? Let's not have this long, prolonged thing. You know the drill. We have a number of things to talk about this evening. As long as they tell me, night not come down until like 9 o'clock. So, and I follow that path. So we're going to talk about the three main topics around. Because people tell me, say, Cranky, you're all over the place now. Need to be a little more structured. Something more structured. So I'm working on the structuring. Even though I love the free flow, no control, sometimes you just go in the direction it takes you, go tangential, and then come back to something which is different. Langsley said, a present voice intending to impact positive in the future. Hey, people hear those words? A present voice intending to impact positivity in the future. So where's the critical Langsley? Him disappear? Good evening, Ted Dexter. Thanks for joining. Where's the critical Langsley? Him disappear? Imposter? Disappear? Me have something in the back of my shirt. Give me a hard time, people. I don't know what it is. Give me a 1 second, people. Let me put this off. I don't know what's happening here. I'm going to keep talking, though. I apologize, everyone. But something is in the back of my shirt giving me a hard time. And it's not working well for me. So I have to see what I can do to get rid of it. I think I've fixed the problem. Sorry, I apologize for that. I didn't want you guys to see me struggling. But no, there are quite a few things to talk about, actually. So we're going, we're jumping into these things. We're not going to do sports. We're not going to do sports initially, but we have enough sports to talk about. A lot of sports to talk about, inclusive of the whole. You saw the thumbnail, and I don't know this fake thumbnail. The thumbnail real. Talk a lot about Mason Greenwood. You see, I dropped the video yesterday. Got some good feedback on it. We're going to talk about conflicts in place as it relates to. We'll talk about that. We'll leave it over there. And then something football license someone sent me today. I want to bring up because I found it was really interesting, actually. Talking about football license in the Caribbean. So I want to bring that up also, right? So let's jump into what my first item, though, is. Bless up, Nitro. Thanks for being here. We're going to touch on the sports. We'll touch gunners a little bit to Nitro. But we have the other stuff here that we want to talk about. But the first thing is around the House in the U.S. passed legislation around immigration today. So, the king has now taken office, because this must be a king, because only a king you praise and support so much and run things so much. So the king has taken office and passed immigration bill, which, boy, I'm going to tell you, so if you read, I'm trying to read through some of it, actually. And by the way, it's a bipartisan bill. So you know that the Democrats and Republicans can't do anything as a collective. They're on different sides of the aisle. But a number of Democrats voted for the bill because it was about immigration. They probably in some states where they have to justify their voting, how they vote for a lot of these things. So really interesting. No, we'll touch a conflict, Sherman. We'll touch a conflict. We'll never stop. We'll touch it. We'll touch it. We have to touch it. It's important for you to have those conversations. It's important we have those conversations, because I think if we all sit down and do nothing and say nothing, then no one will ever focus on it and will never get addressed. But the conflict is a bit different than what you guys think it probably is. But no, so they passed that legislation. So let me just say something for all my brothers out there and sisters who may not have their papers. I suggest first you go to a sanctuary state, go lay low for a while. Don't stay down south or any of them state there. You go to a sanctuary state, so you go California, you come New York, go them state up on the East Coast and we out west. Don't go in the middle of the country, because they might look for you. And when they find you, they must send you home. All right? And some of you probably not in a position to go home. Some have been smart enough. They come here, they've been here for a while, and they invest back home so they can go home. Some can't. So my suggestion to you is, because you want everybody to do well in life, everyone to do well. So my suggestion is you go to a sanctuary state, you lay low with friends and family, do a little job on the side, and then, hopefully Trump can't be in the office forever. Well, I shouldn't say. He can't be in the office he may be in the office for his entire lifetime, about almost 80. But he may not leave after 4 years in the academy. The Supreme Court will come up with something. They probably will change the Constitution. So you never know, even though they probably need more Democrats to do that, because it's a little bit harder to change the Constitution. But you know that works. Second of all, you hear the whole Gaza ceasefire, and all I hear in the news about the hostage being released. And the man killed about 46,000 people. So that may not understand either. You really hear anything about that, because people have moved on now. 46,000, 47,000, who cares? Another 1,000. It's almost as if the life doesn't matter anymore. And one other item I want to bring up, because this is like the news of the day segment, right? It's like the news of the day segment. Let me use them again, bring this up. News of the day segment, people. This picture to me is a telling picture, compelling picture, telling picture. This picture says a lot. And if you guys don't believe it says a lot, I don't know what to tell you. It says a lot. Look at the face, people, because everyone is mixing. Oh no, he's waving. That look like a wave to you. I know it's a still shot. Look at the man's face. Huh? That's the face of almost like evil. Good night.
Hello. This is Maria from Dr. Truesdale's office. How are you today?
I have to call you back. I'm sorry. I'm on a YouTube channel. Sorry.
It's okay. Thank you.
Okay. A lot of people. And this is not my regular phone. Help me, Jesus. It's not a good thing. I thought somebody was calling the program. I know I'm going to take call on this phone apart from YouTubers or people who follow the channel. But anyway, so let me say this. That this picture is a 1,000 words. If I say a picture, give 1,000 words. This picture does that. It's amazing, people. Right? It's amazing. Look at the man's face. And he was from South Africa, where apartheid was rampant and where racism was embedded in the society. And if you remember think about apartheid in South Africa way back when, the people of Dutch descent gave the blacks 13% of the land, even though they had a very small population of Caucasian. And them took 87% of the land and treat people like dirt. And obviously them got liberation in the 90s with help of places like Cuba. But the Western world wasn't really helping them that much, So they had them on the same thing they do with the whole thing around ensuring that they sanction them and all that. But they weren't pushing to go overthrow that government. And this person came from that environment, and his face says everything. His hand says everything. Now, there's some Jewish organization who are making excuses for him. I can't believe this now. Anybody else does this, people, and the Jewish people lose their minds. And then you see one Jewish organization Yes, Brian Burke. Good point, Brian Burke. So we're gonna say it wasn't a salute. They're trying to justify because he asked for $400 billion or 300, whatever the number is. The ADL, who run on everybody and beat everybody and cancel everybody, cancel the Kyrie Irvings of the world, cancel the Kanye West of the world. The man made this a salute, and the man is supporting this party in Germany, which is a far-right party, which is a racist party, and this is what we see. They're justifying it. So the hypocrisy is amazing because he's the same complexion as they are. Don't get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. Anyway, enough for the politics. Let's go talk some sports. Let's talk some sports. But don't get it twisted, people. So in sports, first of all, the Champions League, which has been good, really interesting in terms of the outcome. And I obviously, as you'd imagine, I watched the Arsenal game today. Good game. We didn't play as well as I'd like. I was very disappointed how Sterling played. I've been toting him up. I think he's lost like 3 steps or 4 steps. He just looks lost out there. He does a little bit of dribble, but nothing impactful. So I don't think he's going to get much game time after this because then when Neri comes back. But obviously, and I had it up, I don't know what I did with it. But it's an interesting time for him, an interesting time for Arsenal. What we're going to do in terms of for the rest of the season. I don't see anybody coming in. I don't see anyone coming in, and that may not be good. Obviously, Liverpool and Barcelona on top of it. I think Liverpool's going to win. Going to win the first round. Not necessarily win the Champions League. I think it's going to be really interesting. I saw Madrid today. They were very, very good, but they're not really playing nobody, so it's hard to judge. But the game of the day to me was Man City. Now, I'm not sure I've ever seen a team fall off that much year over year. So this is standing, people. Tell me if you guys can see this. I mean, Man City's leading PSG, 2-0 in the second half, and they give up 4 goals, and then they score another goal. It's basically the same team, They've lost Rodri. They've had some injuries, but I found it amazing that they played Feyenoord at home, leading 3-0 and give up 3 goals. Today, they're leading 2-0, give up 4 goals. They're leaking goals like it's a basket. They look like Jerome Wade's team he took to under 20, just leaking goals. It's out of control. So, and Pep can't seem to find a solution. They bought about 3 players. I'm not sure that's going to stem this tide, though, because players need time to adapt. So, really interesting. But this is the standing, as you can see. Now, the first 8 teams, and I think Arsenal is sort of safe in the top 8, so we ain't going to worry about it. But the first 8, and it's going to be interesting, say the rounds going. So the first 8 teams go through automatically, which right now is at Leverkusen. But as you can see, Leverkusen, Aston Villa, Monaco, all on 13, along with Feyenoord, right? And who's that? The French team. And also Brest. So you have like 5 teams with a chance to go through automatically. And even the ones on 14 are not safe either. Right? Even 15 are totally safe. So apart from the first 4, okay, if you get 13, you're going to have 16. It's going to be hard for everybody to win. Everybody playing each other. So something would cancel themselves out. But as you can see, I think the Liverpool and Barcelona are through. Nobody can really catch them per se. Arsenal can catch Barcelona, but still don't matter. You don't want to make the top 8. You don't really care about anything else. So it's still wide open, but go further. So the first 8 go through automatically to the next round, sort of the quarterfinals. Then the 9th through 24 play each other, home and away. So you can see there's a bunch of teams there. But the team that's interesting is Man City's in 25th place. So they could get knocked out in the first round because right now they're 2 points behind Stuttgart. So they got to hope they win and those teams won 10 points, one of them lose. Not a good look for Man City. Now, they could be a very dangerous team if they go through. But today's loss was unbelievable. Simply unbelievable. I don't know what happened to Man City in a year. It's hard. I mean, they have injuries, but everybody have injuries, right? We have injuries. Everybody have injuries. So I don't understand that. That is really weird, actually. But that's how that go. What else do I have here? So now I'm going to focus on Jamaica. So that was like world stuff. I did see the prodigal son play for Aston Villa in Champions League, got taken off. early second half, he looks a little bit lost, to be honest. He looks lost. He's not doing anything that last year he was scoring goal and having fun and beat the chest. This year is not a good look. Tycoon Safety, great watching Barcelona. Yeah, they're scoring goals, but they also leak goals. You got to be very careful, right? You want a team that's balanced. I think the team that's most balanced in the competition is probably Liverpool, actually. Liverpool look really, really good this year. They have a good team and a good bench. Their injuries are manageable. So they're in a really good position, actually. I think we are challenged because we have a bunch of injuries. White, Tomiyasu, Jesus, Saka, a bunch of injuries to key players. And all those four at some point could be starters. Now Saliba is also partially hurt, so he should be back soon. So it's not a good thing, and we don't have best replacement. So we'll see. So let's jump on a couple of things. First is this item here. So this is Kaheem Dixon playing in Watford. What's the under 21? Look at these people. Hey, people. I'm thinking how wicked going on people. You know what? It's so nice. You have to replay it. You have to replay it. This is Kaheem Dixon. Let me take out this. We just give you a brief synopsis. I think we want to talk about tonight. See, you have to replay it, people. Replay it. Start over. You know what I do too? Since me I started over and I play it. You know, it's me super pissed. The ball come over, then went by the ball. Man, look up. Far corner. Boom. Not butt net, people. Not butt net. Not that. There's a dude have talent, man. When if you even if you play behind in your yard and you're scoring kind of goal, they're a wicked goal. So you look like he's having fun. Hopefully he can matriculate up to the senior team, but a wicked goal by Kaheem, and I'm a big Kaheem fan. And hope he continues to do well, actually. Now we know at the last Olympics that Jamaica didn't win any, half I mentioned, didn't win any goals in track and field, people. So we expect a lot this year. What is the World Championship year? Every other year now. So Kishian is the big hope. So we have a look at thing in my run. He's the big one in the middle here. The biggest man on the track. And look well like a thoroughbred. Man, look like you build a person for run. I saw him look. You build a person for run, people. Bless up Rich Toy. When you build a person for run, I saw him looking at where are you running? Come out of the block. What am I doing? 6.4 something. Very good time this early in the season. Yeah, Rich run again. And he didn't get up early, people. He get up late. But not the first 8-9 strides, the race over. Him just a course. And I run 6.4 something on a track, which is not the fastest track. So that's my sports thing for the day in terms of very short, very sweet, does the job. Does the job, people. Does the job. Let me see what other comments are there. Does the job. So we can go into today's topics now. So those were like the introductory topics. Because I like to do those introductory topics, actually. This morning, I think I went to bed at 2. I did a video. I was talking to a YouTuber today. And I was saying to him that somebody I hadn't really spoken to before, actually. We said I had a tiff. You don't call it a tiff? We never really have no tiff. The person think I did something which I didn't do. So we had a conversation today. I was telling him that when you do these videos, it's when you do a 10-minute video and you guys take 10 minutes. I was saying to him, it took me about 4 or 5 hours to put together the video. I'll play it again tonight because I spend enough time doing it, enough to suffer with me. Because I know someone will see it already. And he was saying, yeah, he spent an average of 6 hours for his individual shows, including the videos. I felt so good. Because something when you just start to something and you're not sure about your ability and your knowledge and the tools you use, and you think it's just all you and you're not doing something right. And he's young, knowledgeable, doing this for a little while, doing really well. And I was like, whoa, I felt better about myself, actually. Because even though it's fun doing this, I'll be honest, and people don't let me say this. Every day I think about quit. I tell them lie. Whenever I work so hard in my life, I'm going to work a long time. But it's fun work, but you're like, is this what I should be doing with all my time? Seriously, people. You sit there and you pontificate and you struggle. Because you're like, you know what, you have left the corporate environment, and then you're saying you spend much of your day. Because when you do a show, if you prepare right, it takes time. And if you're trying to do a show every other day or something, or some people do it every day, it takes a lot of time, and you got to do research to make sure the information is right because it's going out to John public. So it's interesting. Very, very, very interesting. But it was a good conversation we had. And I'm glad we had the conversation, because as I've been saying to people, that one of my objectives is as YouTubers, all of us in the YouTube space who have channels, and more channels come on board every day. I think YouTubers have the ability to influence behavior, right? And people don't seem to realize it. They have the ability to influence behavior if they think about it. Because you have a platform, and you should be able to leverage that platform to do good, even though you're trying to get viewership and you're trying to generate some income. You have an ability, a platform, a profile that will help you not only grow your channel, but be influential, but in a positive direction, a positive sense. So I don't believe in having conflict with YouTubers, with anyone, frankly, but especially in space. People think it's a competition. It should be a competition. Competition is fun. Competition should be fun. People shouldn't take it personal. Somebody's doing better than you. You know what Jamaican I talk about? Your bad mind. We've been on a bad mind thing, but your bad mind. Nah, sir. You should be encouraged. Somebody's doing well. That means you have to up your game, right? So they go into a football team, any sports team, and you got to display somebody. You have to up your game to do it. It's meritocracy. Oh, I forgot to talk about Jamaica, because we have quota. But anyway, I digress. You have to up your game. So up your game. Figure out what you need to do to get better and do better, right? Don't just complain and whine and then want to berate somebody for you to make your case, right? So anyway, the first thing on my list is I was reading something today. Always I read, because you have to keep on educate yourself. And I saw this. So this is the first topic. You see me mention that thing about Caribbean license. I did it as a way not being specific about it. Bless up Jason Guna, thanks for joining. Blaze and Rich Coy, Tycoon, thanks for joining, everyone. And I found this. We follow me, people. Follow me along with this. Trying to build up a story here. So if you can see this, it says CONCACAF Convention. I'm going to read what it says. It says the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association is pleased to announce the official recognition of CONCACAF of the TTFA is Trinidad and Tobago Football Association membership to the CONCACAF Coaching Convention at the A license entry level. Now, as you know, and you hear some people, JFF, talk about this, Trinidad run that coaching license program, basically in the Caribbean, and a number of people go to them. They have somebody here who I'll get to the name. Let's read through this and I'll get to the name. So this was announced. They had a meeting in Miami. And by the way, look here. It says December right here, people. So it's December 9th, 2024. I'll blow it up a little bit. December 9th. This is this year, people. December 9th, 2024. That's when they had the convention, right? And that's when CONCACAF sanctioned the TTFA and give them designation and recognize them. I wouldn't say sanction. Recognize them, designate them as now being part of the CONCACAF in terms of coaching and accreditation, right? So the A license entry. And it was announced in Miami. So now that all TTFA coaching license from A to C will now be updated with CONCACAF's logo. So if you think about it, the TTFA who run this program, you can go anywhere in the CONCACAF region, which is the Caribbean, Latin America. And if you have this designated license, you can coach in the US too, right? It's great they recognize it. And also the head coach for the whole program is Rajesh Lacho with technical director Aaron Cornell. These are Trinidadians. It's sort of interesting though. I'm going to get to a point I want to make actually. So that's a really good thing. And they talk about, I won't go through all, I won't read everything here, but it says fundamentally, the CONCACAF Coaching Convention not only seeks to standardize and raise the quality of coach education across the region, but also provide greater opportunities for cross-border access for coaches through the mutual recognition of qualifications while promoting excellence as part of one CONCACAF philosophy. So a great thing for the region. Now, I think we have 5 A-licensed coaches in Jamaica now. That's what the last number I was told. Those coaches, and some of you coaches, this is for you, get out of your backyard, go get some experience someplace else, broaden your profile, broaden your resume, increase your resume, so you can probably one day aspire, elevate to the job of coaching Jamaica national team. Because sometimes if you go overseas, you can't get the job. I mean, I know Whitmore had for a long time, then they pay him no money, and then I treat him right. So you have to go make the name overseas, get the pedigree, and then you can come back and run not only teams in Jamaica, but also bless up RDN TV. but also run maybe the national team at some point. So I want to go through the whole thing. And in the here to the left here, this is the Trinidad president, Kieran Edwards, second from left actually. But he's not the one who teaches the program. The program is taught by Rajesh Lacho. He's the person sort of spearheaded. So that's the one Speedo was talking about linking with. So this is a really good thing. So my suggestion would be, if you coach football in Jamaica, if you coach football people, then I would suggest that you start going through the program, because accreditation is an imperative, you know. It's not a nice to have. It's an imperative. You should ensure that you get accredited, like, you know, the technical director for the not technical director, but the chairman of the technical committee. I got to make sure I get that right, you know. I said it right. Chairman of the technical committee. And you know, he was on the cover of my thumbnail. There's a reason why he's there. I might look a joke. Well, I'm going on. But anyway. But no, I am supportive of these things. It's very, very positive. It helps quite a bit, because we have struggled with producing world-class footballers. It's like you're going to school and your teacher don't know much. Teacher can only teach you what they know. So you want your teacher to be informed, educated, and at a certain standard that will elevate the students. So I think football is no different, and that should be something that's done, and that should be something that people should aspire for these licenses. I know Jamaica had this program to have 500 coaches get the D license, and they're going to they require obviously now a B in the JPL, and at some point they should require you to have a pro license. Frankly, in the JPL, maybe 5, 6, 7 years from now, we shouldn't stop at A, because in Europe you can't coach over 18, and any other senior team you don't have a pro license, right? I think A license is 18, and I forgot what age range is, but you have to have that accreditation and license, which means that you have attained a certain level to get it. So this is really, really good, actually, people. Now I came across, but so this is funny, people. So I find this funny. You guys may not find it funny. So this was December. So they just gave them the CONCACAF designation in December 2024, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's December 2024, which is really, really good. Now, I was going through something, and I came across this. What may I tell you? I'll get beaten for this, but sure, I might get beaten. So this was an article in the Jamaica Gleaner that I came across. That's why the person that I'm going to cover people. And it says, XYZ football coach. You know, I'm call name. We get too much people. Football coach became the first of 30 regional coaches to receive the CONCACAF A license coaching certification after more than a year of meticulous work, right? So this was a Green article saying this. But you know what's strange about this article, people? Tell me what's strange about the article. And they came on to say the highly rated coach who said his next objective is to complete the pro license. Great. Please tell me what you think about this article, people. This was in the Gleaner. What do you think is strange about this article? Because there's something strange about the article, which I found interesting. So I am very supportive of what TNT has done. I'm very supportive. I was surprised TNT is not doing more in football. Them say, look, I cannot help them. I go to backwards because the football I got bad, but the coaching I get better. But you know what's strange about the article? So CONCACAF only designated them in December 2024. This article is December 4th, 2023. So I'm confused. Because, you know, I do my research on thing and I'm confused. So because somebody can explain to me what mistake I make. So when the Gleaner wrote the article and said it was a CONCACAF license, at least from where I sit, it appears not to be a CONCACAF license, like a Trinidad license. So when we're told it's a CONCACAF license, I don't know, maybe there's a misprint or mistake or things not aligned. I'm going to get my timeline right, but I'm confused. Now, this is either near or there, but Gleaner, please explain how you come up with this article about this was a CONCACAF license a year ago when it only got designation a month ago. Me confused. What's Ray Baller saying? Ray Baller saying, Cranky, you're the guy we love. But no, not a college joke. Yeah, Ray Baller, I hear you. Thank you. But no, people, I'm confused. I'm telling the truth. This article says December, the person had a CONCACAF license, but the designation from FIFA, the convention, only appeared a month ago. And this was a year and a month ago. Really confusing, people. So was it a Trinidad license, a Caribbean license, or was it because I have a CONCACAF? I can't CONCACAF because make no sense. Because a license, when they give them designation for the A license, the article was specific to the A license, So now they have A, B, and C on the CONCACAF umbrella. So anyway, I found this article interesting. I found the date. I don't think I lie me at them. People say I'm lying at them. Make sure the date. See the date? December 4, 2023. This is I'm an investigative reporter, so I tell myself nowadays. I look up stuff. You give me something, I look it up. You tell me something, I remember, I look it up and I try to challenge it. No, at the wrong taxi boss. Hey, let me tell you something. At the wrong taxi boss, not about it. I know speed because taxi boss, I know sensor boss. I not call speed taxi boss. I make that clear. Speed is not the one named toxic boss. The because speed up on the cover. Speed up on the cover because of this. Because speed tell me say, me put him on the cover and me get views. So I say no, me put him on the cover. Then complain. But me not beat speed about toxic. No, sir. The toxic boss and conflict is not about speed, people. Let me clarify that right now. Because I not give thumbnail wrong. You have to interpret the thumbnail. You interpret it, you want to interpret it. This is not, the conflict is not about road or speed. Let me say this again, because there's no ambiguity. And the road or speed, the conflict about. We'll talk about that. We'll get to that conflict. But I don't understand why this said December, right? This said December. Me not understand that. And then when you look it up, it's not the date. So anyway, we have another thing here. And this is, let me change this out. Me all over the place now, Let me change this out. All over the place, people, all over the place. So let me take this down. But anyway, that's the whole coaching thing, which is I want to bring to you the fact that CONCACAF has now designated the courses in the Caribbean to be part and get the license. And that my hope is that we'll take advantage of this. But I did think it was interesting that that article from the Gleaner. And, may I do this too? You know what? May I do this? Can I start challenging the regular media? I've lost trust in media. So when people beat YouTube, I have to laugh. I lost trust in the New York Times. I canceled my subscription. I said that a while ago. I lost trust in the Washington Post because Bezos own it, and them start not endorsing president that they did years ago. I've lost trust in the Wall Street Journal. They're very conservative. So I don't. Every paper nowadays, if you realize, it's like everything else in life. It's people who are the writers. It's not some institution doing the writing. It's the people. They write and editor approve it. And right now, me kind of say, me not be a conspiracy theorist, but me not really trust nobody, people. Me can't trust people no more. Can't trust people, them operate, or them go on, I can't trust them. Now, people are, so that was the story on that. Now, let's get to the toxic boss. Because only one person me call toxic boss. Even though I'm not really talk about people name, I call about name on my program. Call one person toxic boss. I don't know me I talk about. So there was a, I'm going to say this, Gunners, I'm going to give Gunners credit. Gunners and 433, they have their channel. And Gunners interviewed someone from Guyana who was complaining about a player at an academy in Jamaica. I can't figure it out. So I'm asking me if you know a specific name. So I'm naming really put across my name. Academy in Jamaica. And there's a big brouhaha about the person say he was a youth minister, a junior youth minister in Guyana. He really didn't sound like no minister to me, to be honest. And if you look at his profile, say he's an agent. He's a bunch of different things. He didn't sound as informed as I would expect if you're a person, a minister. Okay, no politician can talk, right? Rebel said, so is the man on TV with the same equal? No, not me, not that. My not no haircut, we not cut me here. We just screwed up everybody here. So it's interesting whereby if you listen to the conversation, because I listened to the tape, I actually watched it, and Gunners did a good job of asking the right question and challenging him and being very, very neutral. So I think Gunners, by the way, I think Gunners and 43, I rate those two highly. They're young, sometimes impetuous, but they're good at what they do. Very, very smart kids, and will go far if him just keep on the right trajectory, right? And I'm very supportive of them. So I interviewed him really well, asking them good questions, and the person was complaining about players, right? Mentioned one of the players' name is Ravi, and that the player is not being treated right. Player won't release, and he give out a bunch of information about his engagement with Toxic Boss and what transpired. Now, here's my view on this. And Toxic Boss saying, you have to pay for leave. You can't just make it go. So invest in a. Let me say my thing about this before we get to the conflict thing, which is this. If somebody invests in anything, a car, well, car no investment. Car just depreciate. If it's a house, if it's land, if it's stocks, If it's a relationship, they expect a return on the investment, people. Nobody now invests in a something and no one get a return on investment. So don't get it twisted. If somebody invests in you and say, you know what, me spend some money upon you, I'm not talking about when you go on date, you know, and no one spend $1 and no one other assets in return. I talk about not the football or sports arena or anything else in life, except me I carve that out. But if you invest in somebody, I invest in a relationship, you invest in some time in something, you want a return on your investment. You don't want the situation will come in somebody say, oh, I want to leave, and you say, okay, goodbye. My money down the drain. No, sir. So I agree with Toxic Boss with that, because there's a bunch of email texts, and I wasn't supportive of publicizing some of those things like was done by the person from Ghana who did. I wasn't totally supportive. You can say, well, the person said this, but me not believe in show up all the text them people. Me not believe in anything there. So that was to me, that wasn't great, right? The person want to be relieved because the person not get game time, whatever it is. I'm not buying that nonsense. If I spend my money on you, sorry, I need a return on my investment. It ain't free, right? So Toxic Boss is right on that. So you may say, Cranky, what's your issue with Toxic Boss and conflict? Before me go this up, let me see what the comment that say. I'll go there before me go this up. But me agree with the concept, say, with anybody. If a club buy you, if a person bring you in an academy and invest in you, then you can't just leave it free. Because then who want to invest in an academy? That them thing don't work. You thought I was a toxic boss? No. Well, you can't call me toxic. Me not call me toxic. Me not denigrate myself. Me sorry, me not call myself toxic. No, I'm not a toxic boss. One person me call toxic boss. So let me say this about the toxic boss situation though. So I don't disagree with toxic boss that, you know what? Me can't make it go free. What you talking about? Me spend money on you, XYZ, and then you want to leave and me hold the bag up. Me a charitable organization. If I charge different things. Huh? So Gunnar says, man, I spent on $1 million on the player so far and I asked for one to be released. That's fair to me. Feeling no wrong. I get called people. I let him finish my thing yet. We shouldn't take the call now, but good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yes.
Why shouldn't you have taken the call?
Because I want to finish what I was doing first and then take the call.
Oh.
See what I'm saying? So I go through the whole soliloquy first and then I take calls. That's what I do.
Okay.
So you can call back when I'm done. Soliloquy with them. We have 2 more topics to do, and then you can call. If you can stay that long on, you can call back. I appreciate the call though. Seriously.
Okay. All right. We'll do.
All right. Thanks. So people, I'm taking calls after we finish going through the last 2 topics. Right? You have the Greenwood thing left. I may do the Greenwood. May I do this first and the Greenwood thing. Here's my point. So Gunners is saying, man, I spent $1 million on the player so far and asked for $1 million to be released. That is fair to me. I would ask for more than $1 million to be released. You know, I make no profit then. There's time value of money to, you know. $1 today is not worth $1 tomorrow night, probably worth 50 cents. So I think I would want more than $1 million. And if somebody thinks that's a lot of money, which is probably, what's $1 million? About 7,000 or 6,000 something Jamaican. I don't know if money that. Well, maybe for some people it is. Now I'm getting it right. Because I heard what the player was me. Me never said they have slavery in the Caribbean, people. May I digress now? Me never said they still have slavery in the Caribbean. I thought slavery was done way back when. But the man say, make, Gunners, you can tell me now. Say, 50,000 a month, him said. 50,000 a month, so enough. Did he say 50,000 a month or 50,000 a week, Gunners? Me can't remember. I don't want to laugh, people, but 50,000 Jamaican dollars a month? Are we for real? So what? That's what? Less than 400 US? You Gunners, you can remind me. It's 50,000 a month. Know what I'm saying? That I find. Was it 50,000 a month? I gotta be 200,000 a month. You can't make 50,000 a month. But you buy with $100 a week. Less than $100 a week, you know. About $90 or $80 a week. That. We all buy. And you're a footballer, which is supposed to be a chosen profession. Gonna say 50K a month, but there's everything else covered for him. Rent, gross. Okay. So pocket money might get then to play a ball. Let me say this. I don't disagree with Toxic Boss that if you get in could be money, I'm more than any money. Here's my problem with Toxic Boss, people. Here's my problem. You cannot be, and this is, I'm going to use this word alleged, because some people like sue, you know, even though I ain't getting sued, but in fact, I might getting sued because I don't spend no money on a liar. Allegedly, this person, Toxic Boss, yeah, I agree, Gunners. This person, Toxic Boss, people, him my sometime agent, him my coach, him my mentor, him my motivator, owner, he plays a lot of role. That's the conflict I'm talking about. You hear me beat the other person who's chairman of the technical committee of Jamaica, and him also a co-owner, even though him beat me the other day, say me bad mind because he can get a look of money and get for $500,000, and he said enough money, and he said, boy, people like me mad by about it, and I laugh. Me no bad mind, no bad money. If when you get $1 million, me no when you get 500,000, me get $1 million, that's 150 million Jamaica, or 155 million, me no care. When you get as much money as possible, help look at you them or pay for you. So, but anyway, we digress. So if you first of all, let's pull up something here, people. You can't be all those things. You can't be the coach. You can't be the owner. You can't be the agent all simultaneously. That not work. Now, yes, you can have an academy, you have players coming, but where's the objectivity? So here's the thing. So I did some like a research, put up some like a thing, and get some like a rules and say something. So I will go check with FIFA thing. So it's an overview, conflict of interest. Owner, club, employee, agent, the whole works, right? Not even ever empire. Can't put coach to. Can't put coach and manager, the whole thing on it, right? Can't do all of that. So if the agent for soccer players is also a part owner, coach and director of soccer for a club, the players are contracted with, there's a significant conflict of interest. This situation presents multiple ethical and regulatory concern. Now, some people don't care about no ethics. But, well, football girl, we get to it because you know everything about everything. All right? So let me just say this. FIFA regulations generally prohibit agents from representing multiple parties in a transaction to avoid conflict of interest. An agent who is also part of a club management will be effectively representing both the club and the players, which is not allowed. So Football Guru, go look it up. Is Article 12, paragraph 8. Go look it up. Football Guru, since you know everything. If a football agent wishes to provide football agent services through dual representation to both an engaging entity and an individual, so they might do both sides of the transaction in the same transaction, they may only do so if both of their clients have explicitly agreed to it in advance in writing. Right? So the people who you sell to and the people who you sell, everybody who has signed the contract, everybody have agreed to it. Else you can't do it. So as an agent, which isn't anything, if you're an agent, you do a transaction, people buy things by commission, you have a fiduciary duty to act in the best interest of their clients, who's a player. So all you're acting in the client's best interest when you're probably owner of the club. You're acting at your interest. It's natural for a human being. That's why the conflict is there. If you're representing any client, and I almost took the agent examiner. When I first retired, I said to myself, you know what? A lot of these kids have been taking advantage of it now. Maybe I should become an agent. So I looked into it, and I realized it was really interesting. I didn't spend a ton of time looking into it because I thought I was going to retire and I didn't want to go back to work. But there were some instances where I saw where agents couldn't pass the exam. So I think there were a couple instances where their wife took the exam for them, but because they're not the same entity, they could do the work because FIFA is getting more strict around this, right? But the fiduciary duty is this. If you're being part of a club management, creates a clear conflict with this duty. When you keep telling me about that's what we do in Jamaica, it's not right. We don't want no explanation about what we do in Jamaica versus other places. These are FIFA laws. It's like we don't believe in the laws. We just do our own thing. We just do our own thing because we don't believe in the laws. It's like the culture has just gone south or not, we want to call it. You have a fiduciary duty. That means you're acting in the best interest of your client. There's unfair influence. You think as a young man who are 18, 19, understand all the particulars of contract and situation and big picture and to make informed decision. Then the independent person will advise them who have their interests at heart. Can't be the same person who is the owner, manager, coach, and that doesn't work. The agent's position within the club could unduly influence players' decision, potentially prioritizing the club's interests over players' career development. But that happens all the time. There's a financial conflict. As a part owner, the agent would have a financial stake in the club's performance, which would conflict with negotiating the best possible contracts for players. Right? It's against FIFA guidelines. I'm not going to mention no ethics because some people don't have no ethics, so I can't mention it. Now, also, I had a scenario analysis here. I'll come to your football group. I'm in your type, as usual. Can an owner of a club become a licensed agent? The answer is no. An owner of a club may not obtain a license to act as an agent. It is Article 11, paragraph 4B. Look at the Football Guru. And then there's an article published by Alexi Valori giving some scenario. An owner of a club may not obtain a license to act as a football agent. An applicant to hold a license may not be official or employee of a club. nor is an applicant to hold a license able to hold any interest in a club. That means you can't have no financial interest in a club and want to become no agent, except in one unique situation, which I should mention here. Regarding holding an interest in a club, the prohibition applies regardless of whether the applicant to hold a license owns a small or large percentage of the club. However, there's a prohibition if an applicant holds an ordinary and freely accessible non-transferable personal membership. So if it's a membership versus you're an owner. So here are the examples they give. So John Smith owns 5% of the available shares in City FC. And if you want to own Man City at this point, give them a player. He's not eligible to apply for an agent license. If John Smith is a licensed football agent and he purchases a 4th division club affiliated to the Football Association in this country, he's no longer eligible to hold a license and must immediately terminate or suspend his license in accordance with it. You can't do both people. You can't do it. That's what I say. Right? This is what this is saying. Now, if you just have a regular membership, you can be a member, but you can't be an owner and be an agent at the same time. It don't work. You can't be the coach, the backer washer, the manager, and you want to be the agent and sit on both sides of the contract, and you can get paid from both sides of the contract. That's not how it works, people. So when I come tell me them thing here, football girl, me tell me what you want to say. I tell me what I'm doing in Jamaica. Look like, you know, act like Jamaica just look a lawless place. All right? Now, here's another thing, people, because you guys are going to then use the technicality. Well, maybe the person that a registered agent is operating in the capacity. Maybe you have somebody who is functioning as if they're the official agent who may have the license, but behind the scenes, you might get P as agent. I don't care what I want to tell me. All these are alleged. Let me use that word. Be clear. It's not okay, people. Not tell me you're not okay. Not okay. Conflict of interest. If you own a club and you want a player and you represent the player and you represent the club and you have a coach, everything together. Oh, that can't work, people. That means you don't have your best interest at heart. You know? I'm not care how good your heart is. You should not have that be in that situation. It goes back to my situation with the JFF that I've talked about before. We are normalizing bad behavior. Let me say that again. We are normalizing bad behavior. You know what happens? Bad behavior gets cascaded throughout your society. You do something here, it worse. You do something here, it gets worse. After a while, you have a flood. You have a trickle becomes a flood. Then everything is as we are warped mind in terms of what good and bad looks like. And we can't seem to understand that. So you know what? John do it, me or do it too. John and Paula do it, me have to do it too. We all get co-opted in believing that bad behavior is okay, which then permeates the society, which then what you have is almost chaos, frankly. You know, I was told about us, I can't talk about the story, but somebody told me a story the other day about a situation that happened to them in Jamaica more recently, where they got locked up. And it was a very difficult story to hear, because I had somebody before told me that some cop of Jamaica want to box me when I'm a person in my chat, because the person who called in said Jamaica was corrupt. Now, the situation I tell you about, there were cops involved in this, people. And I've been in a situation like years ago where cops were involved in certain situations. So when the person gonna get them feeders and say them thing that, you have to laugh and say, you know what? Like you're living in this world which is not reality. We have to figure out a way to change behavior. It'd be great if we all do the right thing, our society would function normally. But that ain't happening. So the toxic boss thing was that, people. It wasn't rule out speed. Let me say it. Rule out speed was about the license thing, but I know nothing about rule out speed. So I just drop it fair. Come on, no stay now. It wasn't about rule out speed. Come done talk the rule out speed thing already. But I'm not gonna stop beating rule out speed about that now. Until it change, you know. Until in that way, him resign a position or him have effective management over the conflict, me I call it out. I don't care if he want to vex. That's a fee business to vex. It's his prerogative to vex. And I wish he does phenomenally well with Cavaliers. I'm not gonna wish him win this year. If he win a theme, look, I wish nobody to win. Because nobody say me have to take side in the football. But I hope he continues well. I hope he does really well if he play Kansas City or Inter Miami. I hope he does phenomenally well. I mean, I have no bad mind. Can love use that word there. For that, I am focused on do the right thing. Sometimes, me read what football guru saying. I'm just say, you know what, I'm just ignore it. You can't. Football guru, I don't mind having a football guru, but sometimes people, you know, those people in life who are just contrarians. If you say, do you know those people? You always know one of those people. If you say A, they say B. If you say C, they say D. I know there's one guy who used to be around us quite a bit, And I always watch him and smile and says, when you say something, you just even just trick him. You just say something opposite of what you know him going to say, and him still go the other side. It's amazing how it work. That's how I view Football Guru. I'm gonna be honest. It's not Football Guru. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that in Football Guru. You don't have to go on the opposite side. But anyway, we're transition people. So 2 topics I talked about already. One was about the license in CONCACAF, which I'm extremely pleased about. That the Caribbean will now people who get the designation and license at every level, A, B, C, and hopefully they'll also designate the pro when somebody attain that level. Then you can work through a CONCACAF. So if Rudolph get the pro, you can go coach the US. All right, you can go coach Jamaica. You never know. Or anybody else who is going for the license. And anyway, all of you people in Jamaica, all you individuals who have coaching aspirations, if you're young, start studying for the exam, whatever the theory is. Start going get your affiliate with a club, and where they have trainers and coaching session. Start save up your money to go take the licenses. Because people, whenever you have a designation, a certification, and it's well recognized, I think it increases your compensation by, say, at minimum 30%. So if you have a license as a plumber, a license as a carpenter, or you licensed as an accountant, it increase. And if you're a lawyer and pass the bar, you're a legal clerk, a lawyer, right? So my suggestion is get the official recognition and designation so you can increase your earning potential. Patrick said, I think we Jamaican normalize bad behavior too long. Yeah, you see me do the program the other day. I'm digressing here, people, so don't beat me about structure. About when I did the program the other day about what we call it, jackets in Jamaica, or paternity fraud, as people like to say. And you saw the stats, and you're like, we have to do better. And then Football Guru is on the opposite side. In my chat, he must say something different from. He said the stats not right. May I tell you now, even if you say Football Guru, this is a pen. He said, no, it's not a pen. It just looks long. Those things in it are not ink. That top is not a top. And you're like, yeah, but I'm feeling it. It's a pen. He's like, no, it's not a pen. You're wrong. And so I struggle, Football Guru, with you. I struggle with you. I'm going to be honest. I struggle. But anyway, so no, I do think it's a great thing for the region, and long may it continue. Long may it continue. And secondly, about the conflict situation, people, conflicts are a normal part of society. Don't get me wrong. But there are a couple of things around conflicts. When you have them, how do you manage them? How do you mitigate them? And if you can, how do you eliminate them? Right? Because conflicts means that at the end of the day, if you're conflicted, you may not do things. It could be that you do everything right, but the appearance not look good. Or it could be that the conflict is so pervasive that you can't really get out of it, and you go do things which are not appropriate. It's like me said when I did the thing on the Prime Minister. Man, I have all these people doing business with him, and they are in this parliament, and they have 3 or 4 different things that they run. How is that okay? And that's the highest level of the government people, the highest level of government in Jamaica. We need water. We need to get some hydration. So let's go to the Mason Greenwood thing, which is the final topic for the evening, actually. And then we can take calls. So I apologize to the person called earlier, but we can take calls after Mason Greenwood. Now, a number of YouTubers have obviously ran with the story, which appropriately, because in this business, breaking news is an imperative, people. Now, in Jamaica, it looked like Juras conflict may help your brand. People, we live in this alternative world now. Juras, let me digress back to you. We live in an alternative world. Conflict in Jamaica sometimes help your brand now. It's who you know. In Jamaica, people, is who you know. I don't want to digress into the conversation. I'm going to get to Mason Greenwood. But I can tell you this. I'm going to give you an example. The other day, I'm going to get myself in trouble saying this, Hope nobody's people now watch. I have, be careful. I have a family member going to school in Jamaica, right? And I didn't like where they were living, so I said, you know what? Try to get an apartment on campus. And they went there. No apartment not available. A friend of mine called me, and we're talking. And say, oh, what are the kids doing? And I said, XYZ. And she said, I'm going to say, yeah, but me can't get on campus. And she said, oh, call it back. Next thing we know, a phone ring, call back, blah, blah, blah. Suffice to say, people, end of the day, there's availability on campus. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say, people. That's all I have to say. There's availability. How you know? We don't know nobody. So, right? So we don't really know nobody, but somebody knows somebody who knows somebody. that's not. I'm not into those kind of life, people. I'll be honest. I believe in equity and fairness and equality. I not believe in people get preferential treatment. Me just not believe so. So in that situation, I was very disappointed. I was happy for her, for my niece. I was disappointed about the process because she tried on her own. And I didn't know anybody there, and the person I knew there was a professor. I'm leaving and come back to the US. I never know nobody. But I was very disappointed. Very disappointed. That should not be the case. So then how the poor people them who come through and bootstrap, or they might get access to society, can not have the people in the right place to help them along. How that work? If you have nepotism and conflict and everything, you know, manage them. How that work, people? How meritocracy is going to rise to how the country will maximize its ability? Okay, if you don't bring people through based on meritocracy, you're not going to get the best people, not the best job, Never. Not happening. So I don't understand that. Anyway, let's get back to the Mason Greenwood. Thanks for that point, Juras. I keep digressing. People don't beat me again. But me know I'm going to Mason Greenwood until we get these comments out. Licensed coaches working academies in the pyramid. Yeah, but we're not talking about no pyramid thing before the game. We're talking about people who make money. Coach at Jamaica not make no money anyway, so no matter. Coach in Jamaica not making any money. Yeah. So let me get to the Mason Greenwood thing. Let me stop digressing. So then people can call in. So for Mason Greenwood, the news came out, and a number of YouTubers ran with the story, which is the right thing. And they also leveraged the British papers for that story. So you guys not gonna like me doing this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So I did a 10-minute video. We'll watch the video, and then we'll talk about the Mason Greenwood thing. Which may I say? I know I do the video. I know if I don't see it already, but I haven't really watched the video. I've not really watched myself. I not like watch myself. So anytime we do something, we just put it out and done. I really go back and watch me show them. That's why I don't see me doing on clips. You see me doing clips and post the clips them. Once in a while, we get pressure to do that. So anyway, we'll play the video. We'll listen to the video, and then we'll talk about the Mason Greenwood thing. You would have heard about the Mason Greenwood situation. He was all over the news. The Independent, the Express, the Manchester Evening News, all the newspapers in England had the Mason Greenwood situation, or story, I should say, which is he's changed allegiance from England to Jamaica. Now, that's not shocking news for me because I predicted that this would occur. Well, I predicted that England would not allow him to play for the country again. And it's not necessarily the FA or anyone else. It's the fans. It's the supporters, especially the female supporters. And if you can recall, when Man U was vacillating about taking him back, it was some of the female commentators were in the public news who expressed their distaste for this and basically indicated they would never be Man U fan again, or fans again, I should say. Now, so I wasn't necessarily shocked about this news. And it's not necessarily news to me per se, because the JFF had proactively filed the papers with the regulatory authorities, the English FA, and obviously subsequently with the FIFA, for him to be able to change allegiance when things materialize in terms of him becoming a Jamaican citizen, get his passport and being a player. So I called someone today to say, I don't understand. I normally get information from you, basically, around the situation as Mason Greenwood's situation changed. And he said, and I sort of quote, things sort of remains the same. Nothing has changed in terms of his papers. Now, listen to this from the Daily Express. I excerpted it, the audio of the news that they reported, and let's talk about it after listening.
Mason Greenwood quits England and signs up for new national team. Former Manchester United striker Mason Greenwood has changed his international allegiance from England to Jamaica. The decision comes after the Football Association made it clear that he would not be considered for future selection following a suspension due to charges of attempted rape, assault occasioning actual bodily harm, and controlling and coercive behavior 3 years ago. Despite these charges being dropped by the Crown Prosecution Service, and Greenwood reviving his career with Getafe, and now Marseille, he was informed that he would not be selected for the Three Lions again. Having completed the necessary paperwork, Greenwood is now available for Steve McLaren's Jamaican team. The 23-year-old qualifies for the Reggae Boyz through his father, who was born in Jamaica. As Greenwood won his only England cap while under the age of 21, he is able to switch allegiances. Although Jamaica have 2 games next month, Marseille are unwilling to release Greenwood as the fixtures are friendlies. However, Greenwood is expected to be named in the former England manager's squad for the first time for the World Cup qualifiers in June, according to the Star. Greenwood moved to Marseille from United last summer in a £27 deal, and has since become the leading scorer in League One this season with 12 goals. Mason, apparent to England's current number 9 Harry Kane, has been deemed too risky a choice for the Three Lions by FA chiefs due to potential negative publicity.
Now, if you heard what the Express says, there's 2 things that need to be corrected. One is that his heritage is from his mom's side of the family, not his dad's side of the family. Not sure where they get the news from, because they say he qualifies based on his dad being born in Jamaica. That's not the case. As you know, the JFF came out and says his mom needs to sign the papers so then he can file with PICA for his documents. So in essence, it is not his dad's side, it's mom's side. So they got that wrong. Now, the second item would be around when could be his first call up to the national team. And they seem to indicate it would be this summer, because the 2 friendlies against Trinidad are friendlies and Marseille would not allow him to come to the friendlies. Totally agree with that. But them indicating that summer is the first call-up is not correct, because Jamaica plays St. Vincent and the Grenadines to qualify for the Gold Cup in the summer. They're going to play them in March. March is an official FIFA window. And if Mason Green was to somehow miraculously get his papers, then therefore he could be called up and be in the team. Now, I think fans should be excited of the prospect of Mason joining, but I'm kind of conserving or reserving my excitement until those papers get signed. If they don't get signed, then nothing will materialize. But let's speculate, let's prognosticate, let's think about what could happen if he does sign, what would it mean for the team. It would be a significant lift for a number of reasons. One is the team is getting old across the board. A lot of players are going up there in their 30. We need some infusion of youth in the team. Second, a number of players are out of form, truly out of form. Look across the forward line. A number of players are not what they were a year ago, and that's concerning. And we also have Mikel Antonio, who's out, hurt, and that doesn't help. And maybe out for the rest of this year. Third, I believe Mason Greenwood could be a catalyst for other diaspora players who have the pedigree and that we need in the team. So hopefully, if he does join and it does materialize, he will bring others with him, which would be a welcome sight. Because there are a number of players out there, and we could go through them. I've mentioned them: Kyle Walker-Peters, Jed Spence, Cameron Archer. All these players who may have aspirations to play for England, and nothing wrong with that, but maybe consider, you know what? It doesn't appear it's going to occur. Tuku may not call me. I'm going to go join Jamaica and join the parade and join and be part of that journey that Steve McLaren is trying to materialize in the future and have us qualify for the World Cup. Mason Greenwood has been a brilliant player throughout his career. You remember Sir Alex Ferguson saying when he was asked by Gary Neville,
player in world football do you rate the highest?
Young footballer
Yeah.
in the world. Oof. Mason Greenwood, in my opinion, is going to be a top player. He's got the coolness and coldness of a great striker. He never panics. His shots are always low. He's always inside the post. And I think that's shown great qualities.
This was the one player he mentioned. He's been tearing up the French league. He's a leading goal scorer there, and he also has 3 assists. He can play all across the front line. He can even play in the number 10. So in essence, we have a player with the pedigree, the profile, the youth, the experience. He's been playing for a while now, 17, 16 years old. He's been playing at a high level, and he's now in his early 20s, who can really aspire and help the team progress. So Reggae Boy fans, even though I'm cautiously optimistic, because without papers, you can't get anything done, as we all know, I am hopeful, truly hopeful, that Mason Green will get his papers and come to play for the Reggae Boys. And I can promise you, I believe this will be the case. If he comes in March, if he gets his papers by March and come in March or even in June, that stadium will be filled out because he's quality, proven quality. Mason Greenwood, I hope you're coming home. Peace out. So that was that video that I did at 2 a.m. this morning. So I had to play it again. If I spend all this time investing in my time, I have to play it more than once. But the video, that I said, is all right. So Greenwood obviously has to get his papers. I think the JFF said it where his mom needs to sign some documentation for them to then pursue his papers. That has not been done. That relationship needs to be managed delicately. If she not sign it, as if you're Jamaica, nothing happen. Yeah, Rich Toys, he's the real deal. I've been watching Mason Greenwood since forever, frankly. It seemed like forever, but he's like 23 and he's been playing at a very young age. And as Alex Ferguson says, he has an eye for goal, basically. He puts the ball in the net. And that's the hardest thing to do in football, right? And Man U want to bring him back now, regardless of the situation, but their fans weren't having it. Now, what's interesting about this is, if I was Mason Greenwood, I'd run to come play for Jamaica. First of all, you want to show people what they're missing. You know, like how a girl maybe drop you and, you know, you do well now. And you want to show her, say, ooh, you wish you have me. That's the point I'd make. Suppose you say better than Saka. Yeah, he's better than Saka. I think he's better than Saka. In the context of this, he's a better goal scorer. Right foot, left foot, he's a better goal scorer. Remember, the kid was in the England team at 19, you know, when the team was very, very decent. He was there with Foden way back when, right? When they got in trouble. When they got in trouble? Someplace when they were out a game. He's in Scandinavia someplace. He got in trouble. And they punished him more than they punished Foden, frankly, which is always the case in those cases. But no, he's a quality footballer, a lot of ability. And if he comes, I am almost 100% sure he's going to bring people with him. Not literally, but people will want to join because he's part of the team. I'm saying Mason Greenwood is better than Saka, Tony. Tony's from the UK, and Tony's saying, who's better than Saka? What are you talking about, Cracky? You always say that. I say Mason Greenwood is better than Saka. I think he's a more complete player. I think Saka has a lot of ability and is a very smart player, but Greenwood is prolific scorer. He's got 12 goals already. I mean, it's not as tough a league as the Premier League, but Greenwood was playing from a very early age, just like Saka was, and scoring goals. He's a brilliant goal scorer. So no, I believe that if he comes and plays for Jamaica, which I hope he does, because you can't really trust the British newspapers, right? We know he's not going to play for England again. That's a done deal. I was in Talk Sports and I heard the female commentator says that when they were coming out, when Man U were dragging their feet, they came in and says, this will never happen. I will cut up my season tickets, not supporting Man U anymore. And she was supported by a number of people. Trevon says, not better than Saka, levels to this. Trevon, that's your perspective. So, Tony, I want to hear your view, Tony. Who do you think is better, Greenwood or Saka? I think Greenwood is up there. I think he's better. I don't see what Saka can do that Greenwood can't do, but I can see what Greenwood can do, Saka can do. First of all, Greenwood has a right foot. Saka has no right foot. Greenwood is just a skillful Saka. Greenwood can score from anywhere. Nah, I mean, they're two excellent players. But no, I think Greenwood's a more complete footballer. How many players you know they don't have a preference which foot they use? They don't have a preference which foot they use. There's very few. Saka don't have the right foot, even though Tony used to give me a hard time about that. He scored a scream, everybody get excited, and you look at me and laugh and say, yeah, if I swing my foot at some point and it connects, it may go in, but he's not comfortable with it. If you look at Arsenal team, Odegaard and Saka are not comfortable on their right foot, but Greenwood is comfortable anywhere. He's two-footed, which is not sure that sets him apart from. Yeah, the two-footedness is a big deal, right? And he scores too. He ain't getting no 10 chances and miss 5, 6. That's not happening with Greenwood. He's putting no chances away. So yeah. I don't want anybody hating on certain things. So we'll say it, but no, I think Greenwood is better than Saka. I do. I think he is. look, the margin is not great. But here's another thing people don't realize, which is very important. Greenwood was at football for over a year. Came back at Gaddafi, was their player of the year, wasn't he? You don't play football for over a year. You sit down and do anything. When and people, De Berzy pulled them to France. He's their leading goal scorer in that league. Hello, he's not a center forward, people. He's the leading goal scorer, and he's not a center forward. I think facts matter, stats matter in this case. I watched him play. Kid is a very, very good footballer. But anyway, so maybe you can call in now if you so choose. If you want to call in and talk about any topic, including the Greenwood soccer debate, because we'll never get consensus of this, which is a good thing, actually. Some people are going to be in the soccer corner. Some going to be in the Greenwood corner. So Nigel said, the Daily Mail the day before this story came out, said Greenwood was told, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Tony, you got to call me back on the regular. Tony, this thing doesn't, my phone, Tony, doesn't connect to, 1 second, it doesn't connect to the system, Tony. So you have to call me back on the other line that's you see up there at some point after 433 is done. Go ahead, 433. So Tony was calling me to beat me, but go ahead. 433.
Like how Trump is president now, free speech is restored.
No, free speech is restricted. It was always free speech under Biden. Trump is the one who won't have free speech.
You think it was that under Biden? I don't think so, no.
No. It was always under Biden.
But listen, right?
Yeah.
Craig Butler. You know, I don't think. Listen, Craig Butler I think he's a good individual, right? I don't know him personally.
You know, I didn't call anybody name, right? So I make sure that's clear. I didn't call anybody name. I use a name, Toxic Boss. That's what name I use. So if you want to talk about a person named Toxic Boss, please do. But I don't call certain people name on my program.
All right. Is it? All right. I mean, as a soldier, you have
so
to
like
be
you're
brave.
struggling. So like you're struggling.
As a former soldier, you have to be brave, right?
No. It's not about brave. It's not about brave. People don't get it confused. No, you don't understand. Do not get it confused. This has nothing with bravery. Nothing to do with bravery.
In terms of Toxic Boss, right? Let me just refer to myself. In terms of Toxic Boss,
yeah.
You know, Gunners did an interview with the agent who has a problem with Toxic Boss, right?
Yes.
And you know, before the interview, he was telling me about the situation. You know, Gunners was telling me about the situation, and my initial thought process was that, you know, Craig Butler looks as if he's in the wrong. However, when the interview was released and I watched the interview, I was like, you know, in this situation, I think Craig Butler is kind of in the right in this situation in terms of, you know, you having the player, he's contracted to your club, so whatever price tag you put on him, I mean, it might seem unfair to some individuals, but then again, you are an asset under my business, you know. So right. I'm the one who really and truly should set the price tag if this player is supposed to be released. You know, in terms of the agent complaining about getting $50,000 a month, I mean, his player did sign off to a contract at the end of the day for Veer Phoenix United. So that is an agreement in which you made legally. It's not like a word of mouth thing where like, oh, you know, it's 50,000 a month and then they can complain after and say, you know what, that is not enough. You know.
So I think when we're saying 50,000 a month, we should. I hate to do this. We should convert so people get a good idea, because everybody in this program is Jamaican, right? Are used to the dollar. It's how much in US is that? Because US is a universal dollar.
Maybe 400 USD or less.
Huh?
Maybe 400 USD or less.
It's less than $400 a month. A month. No. I think Gunners did say most of your things are taken care of. Your lodging, your food, your clothes, right? But for a footballer, it still doesn't sound like a lot, does it?
Yeah, but then again, Cranky, I mean, he's what? I think he's around 20 or something like that, right? He's from Guyana, coming to Jamaica. The only issue I have with this situation with the player and Craig Butler is, I think the agent spoke about the fact that, you know, the player allegedly said something about Kyle Butler, right? And it's like Kyle Butler is not dropping him to training again. And I think that's where the conflict comes in with Kyle Butler being the son of Craig Butler and Craig Butler being the father of Kyle Butler. So anything that is said or allegedly said, then it will cause an issue for any player if it comes out of that player's mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I have a problem with that where the father is automatically going to take the side of the son, because allegedly the player said something like, why is Kyle Butler playing over him, or he should be playing over Kyle Butler, which many fans in Jamaica probably agree with, that this player probably should be playing over Kyle Butler, because Kyle Butler is maybe not good like one time again, right? So I think that's where the conflict kind of comes in, where Craig kind of owns the club at this point. He looks as
He
if
owns
he's
it. So wait. So the person you're talking about owns the club?
in a partnership with the club.
I'm just want to make sure we are clear. I talk about
This is the thing,
you can't own a club. You can't be you can't have all these conflicting responsibilities.
The money is everything in one. The coach, him do the interview with them, him do everything. You get me? I say.
But isn't that illegal under FIFA's rules that you can't be everything?
I don't know.
As it relates to agent and owner and all those things?
We don't follow rules, right? So I don't think the rule applies to
So you say it's lawless? It's lawless.
Yeah, I mean, I even have a problem with the whole thing of, if Lenny Hyde is the coach, I'm expecting that Lenny Hyde is the one that is doing the interviews after the games. You know what I'm saying? If Veer loses 3-0 or 3-1, then I expect that the coach is the one that's supposed to do the interview. I don't want to see the technical director. I don't want to see the assistant. I don't want to see anybody else but the coach, And
right.
For somebody that likes to talk about international standards or whatever the case is, I've never really seen that across the globe in terms of assistants or technical directors doing interviews, And every time I listen to people like Simon Jordan, etc., they've always stated that when it comes down to the team and the dressing room, I try not to involve myself in those areas, you know what I'm saying? Because I've hired the coach, and that is his duty in terms of coaching the team to win, doing interviews, whatever the case is, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I have a problem with that. But in this case, I think in terms of the whole issue with the player and the agent, I think Craig Butler is in the right in this one. And I mean, $1 million Jamaican dollars does seem like a lot, but still, if that's the valuation for the player, for him to be released,
right,
then it's either you pay it, or then the player just run down his contract and leaves on a free, Yeah,
and you bring up a good point, right? We see this right now with, let's just think about the Premier League, and in January, teams are pursuing other people's assets, and they're saying, I don't want to sell, or you're going to pay the price I want, right? So it's their asset, and they choose to do what their asset. So it may sound really bad to call a human being an asset, but that's how the business works, right? That's your primary asset. So you have to maximize the value from that asset. So it's not fair to ask anybody, no matter how toxic they are, about whether or not they should be giving up their asset for free. That's not right. So when I heard the agent on Gunner's program talking, I didn't agree with the agent. I think if you want the player to leave, buy him out.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we should do as fans is, frankly, sometimes as fans, I think we kind of overstep our boundaries in terms of what we seem to know. Again, I don't think, none of us as right now, speaking for myself, I've never been involved with Veer Phoenix United and in the boardroom or whatever the case is, So sometimes I don't feel like we must just jump up and say, oh, that player is not valid at $1 million or whatever the case is. I mean, yes, we can have an opinion, but I don't think the valuation is wrong, because they're well within their rights to value the player to that amount of money, because it's their player, it's their asset, They know what they've invested in this individual player, So either you pay the money, or then the player leaves on a free, which his contract is supposed to end in the summer. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, at the end of the day, I hope these things resolve itself really well, because apparently the player have some challenging, personal situation, and you hear those difficult stories, and you hope that people can come to an agreement which satisfies both parties, even though it seemed like money has to be paid before a release is allowed. I'm not sure that's going to work going forward, but I can't blame somebody for wanting to maximize the value of their asset. I don't know how you blame the person, and you coming on complaining on a program about this. You at least got to come with some kind of solution that's reasonable, and you weren't reasonable. You just weren't.
And my final point as well, if you look across the Premier League in terms of, and not only the Premier League, but sometimes, all right, for example, let's use United, and this is realistic. We're trying to go for a left wing back, right? I think it's in France. United, they're saying...
I thought you were trying to get relegated, but keep going.
All right, so their United's position is 27 million, right?
Right.
And I think this club is actually fighting relegation as well, and it's an unknown club to an extent, right? And they're saying that they want 40 for the player. No, if you actually want the player, it's either you pay the 40 or you move on. You might not agree with the evaluation, but you cannot go to the club and say, oh, we don't feel like the evaluation, they're right, because they've developed the player, and this is their evaluation of the player. And so many times you see clubs as fans, we don't agree with the valuation of a player, but if they want the player, then they have to pay those big money. And it's happening more so than ever. So that's just the world of football. A lot of these situations are not unique to Jamaica, where a club is trying to not say really price out the player out of a move, but they want the best value that they can get for the player. So it's either pay or you leave. Simple as that.
Thanks for the call, 43, and I agree with the point, actually. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
So Mr. Pugilist, you can call in now, Mr. Pugilist, because I know you want to beat me about soccer. Let me just say this, actually. I mean, Dr. Dan say he can leave and not get paid. No, Dr. Dan, that's not the issue, you know. It's not about getting paid, you know. It's about he has a value. So the person who owns the rights to the player have to get paid, get returned their investment, which is, you know what, you got to pay the fee for the person to leave. That's the business. Or, yes, he can sit out the next 5 months, which everybody wants to play, right? Here's another question I have on that situation. I thought Guyana had oil money. Why some person in Guyana can't just do a thing? Good evening. Good evening. Hello?
Good evening, Cranky. Good night. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm great so far.
What?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a couple of things to say, Cranky. 433 just touched on Craig Butler's situation. For me, it's just business, right? I don't see anything wrong that he did. A lot of people may look at the man as being controversial when it comes to him creating things that's not there, a little bit toxic. But the mind that he has is futuristic, and that I have to give him credit for. I hope that eventually we can catch up to what the things that he puts out there, but I don't think we're there as yet, right?
Okay. No, understood.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
This whole Greenwood situation. For the past couple of days now, every content creator is talking about the same exact thing, and this is what I'm saying. Let's look past that in the future. This guy, if we do end up coming to Jamaica, right? I remember when Bailey came out and said, the type of caliber player that he is, and he's valued so much, the security has to be up to par, and everybody think that this guy wanted his own security, right? You have a high-profile player that's coming to our country with a stigma, and I don't hear any of the organization putting anything in place for him. No kind of agenda, no kind of nothing.
Right, but when you say that, look, they were proactive in trying to make sure they get the release from the UK, but he don't have his papers yet, so he won't put something in place until, you know what? If you need to put anything in place, you wouldn't do it until you're sure he's going to be getting his papers. Okay, you may be preparing for something that don't materialize, but it's a contingency plan. You would think about do we have to change anything, get the player's profile.
Yeah, but you're right, but even when we have these leaders, so-called leaders that's in charge, these questions we should ask, and even when you're creating content, these things we should put out there, just like we're putting out there that we want him to come and play for us. Right. We should also put out there to say, hey, what do our leaders have to put in place for a high-profile player like this with a stigma? Because it's going to happen. It's coming. Let's stop. We just being reactive is sickening, right? And my last thing, MG did a video, and I spoke to you about this on your channel a couple of days ago. He did a video about the stadium, and it's like a revolving door, the same thing. Like these kind of conversation, and this is why I said I rate Craig Butler, because his mind is like light years, is so far out. And it's like we can't see these things. We just sit there and we talk about the same thing over and over instead of taking a stance and be, go out there and say, okay, listen, this is what we're taking a stance on, because it's the same thing over and over again. Let's move forward and make a decision, come up with a plan, and see what we can make happen. Right? If you look at the his video and you saw the stadium, how trash the stadium was, it's ridiculous, right?
Well, it's supposed to be
So
fixed.
what-
The stadium is supposed to be going to a renovation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be going into renovation, correct? But you're still going to have different events in the stadium, right? That's not going to stop them from having events,
Right.
right? So this is what I'm saying as a leader, the president, right? This is why I say we have a failed president. Because if you're a leader, you've been there for how many amount of years? This thing has been occurring since you've been there.
Right,
My brother-
we have to be very careful on that. I don't disagree that there's much more can be done for the football, but when it comes to the stadium, the JFF doesn't control the stadium, right? They're a tenant of the stadium. So we can't blame the JFF for the standard of the stadium, whether it works or not. Remember they had the light situation the other day? That wasn't the JFF, that was the government. The government owns, they're the ones who control the stadium. And they did say that, I heard Bobsy Grange say this, they're going to do some refurbishing next year. I think they employ some British organization to help. So let's hope that it materializes, because we get promises, it's election time, then things don't get done.
But that's what I'm saying, Cranky, right? When you see, is JFF a business or is a for profit or non for profit?
It's neither actually. It's a quasi private public organization. So it's a not for profit organization, but it's not for loss organization either.
So it's just an organization by itself. That's there.
Yeah,
You really can't touch, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So when you have and that's what evil, like sort of like the Vatican, right? When you have a structure like that can sort of do what they want and probably just report to the FIFA, it's a lot you can do, right? Because for instance, look at what the Chinese did, right? The Chinese brought the highway system to our country, and we won't benefit from the highway for what they say next 10, 15 years, something, 20 years, something like that. So now, as a president that says that, you know what, we caught up on our arrears when it comes to our debt, right? We have assets coming in. We have a lot of sponsors coming in, right? You have the track team, the club that's there that I'm sure, the track program that's there that I'm sure is fed up with everything that's going on, just like the Football Federation. This is when you have, you should go overseas to all these different countries. All right, for instance, Cranky, this lady named first female president of Africa. She's from Liberia, Ellen. Have you ever heard of her? Ellen Johnson?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Her country was in debt when she took over the country, right? And this lady had to go overseas to beg for money to help to get the country out of debt. And this is what these guys need to do. They need to think outside of the box. That's all I'm saying. I'm not like for us to sit there and continuously talk about government doing this, government. That's where the government has always failed us. Look at our music. When Jamaica doesn't have a proper place to have any kind of shows or anything like that. So why would we rely on the government? That's all I'm saying.
Right. No, I don't disagree with the view that the JFF, which I think they're trying to do, right? An evolution is happening in the JFF. It's slow. It's plodding in some way, shape, or form. But they're trying to explore revenue sources and try to leverage those sources to help increase the revenues that they generate, right? That's a clear. You see them coming out with the whole thing about literalizing, having games showing on YouTube on the JFF live channel and charging a subscription fee. We can get into the subscription fee number. But I think it's the right approach to think about what's the universe of resources or of revenue opportunities out there, and how do I pursue those opportunities where it's cost beneficial to do so? So yeah, I do think you're right about the need to generate more income or generate more monies and get more monies in. A lot of people are not giving away money. I've always believed the Middle East and China may be a best source. China's going to want some return and significant return. Middle East may be more viable. They probably want less return, but they want some return, right? Because nobody want to give an asset away. So yeah.
Exactly, and that's all I'm saying, right?
Okay.
And the last thing with us trying to qualify for the World Cup, like even that, I'm looking for them to come up with some kind of For instance, if you go on Spain website or you go on Italy website or even Argentina website, it's so detailed, it's so well put together. These guys have everything like for the next 10, 15 years of what the projection of where they're trying to go, and as far as the funding and what they're trying to, it's what we don't, I mean, how can we move forward without a plan?
So it's a very good question. I've had the conversation on this channel quite a bit of time. I've had conversation with people in the JFF sometimes. Well, when we used to have I'm gonna call it an amicable relationship, it does not that way anymore. But the point you're making is a good one, which is, and I said this before when I was talking about doing an evaluation of the JFF, the strategic multi-year plan is not in place. Now they have plans for different aspects of what they do, but a comprehensive multi-year strategic plan with what I'm gonna pursue, I'm gonna achieve that in terms of that pursuit. The mechanism I'm gonna employ or deploy to do so, that's not in place. So if you go on Spain website and see a strategic plan, for example, I'm sure Football Guru and Paul Edwards is gonna come back and blaze fire about we're not Spain, we're not this, but they think of a very lower standard. I believe in you can elevate yourself without necessarily being a first world country, because a plan and a strategic document is not something that you have to be in a first world country to develop. You can develop a strategic plan that's comprehensive enough. And Frank and Carla, here's what's really funny about this. In today's environment, it's not hard to do. Because as you're saying, all those plans are out there for some of these countries. I think Spain one is a brilliant one. You can leverage what they're doing to develop your own plan. And you can coordinate with all your stakeholders about, is it realistic plan? And go out, develop it, and then go execute. So I think the JFF is making improvement, but they're baby steps versus material steps. So thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good night.
All right, thanks. Yep. Let me call back this person from Florida who's been calling me quite a bit. Okay. Andre, I can't, before the game, I can't take the call now. I'm gonna have to call somebody back who called me like 7 times, and maybe Fear. So you can call me after this call come in. But I got a call at least 7. I gotta be at least 7 times. Let me try to find that caller. I can't find it. Somebody called me from a 305 number. Please call back in. You have called at least 6 times. You have something burning you want to talk about. The bad thing about it, I don't see your number. I don't know where it is. Tonight, Tony Kishan. I don't see the number. Well, you may call back before the game because I don't see the person's number here, but they called a number of times. Unless it's a number which is not the real number, but it transitions some places. I don't see the number, which is kind of weird because they call at least 4 times already. So if you have a 305 number, which is a Florida area code, and you want to call back now, because I just got a call, which I didn't take, but you called a number of times, I want to be fair about how I allocate the timeline. I don't see the number. Okay, the number is coming back. Yep. Good evening. Let me see something. Hold up. Good evening. Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yes. What do you have to say?
I called earlier. You said I should call back after you have gone through what you had on the program. So I will start with the first thing that I had initially called about, which was the concern you have about our coaches receiving their license in 2023, but the accreditation is actually being given 1 year later.
Let me rephrase that. The license was given in 2023.
Yes.
But what the paper said that it was a CONCACAF license. But if you read what I presented, the CONCACAF designation of the license received by the Trinidad route, by TTFA, they only got the designation and recognition in December 2024 when the Gleaner said someone had the license from December 2023. That was the issue.
All right. The designation is akin to accreditation of an...
You look like you're rushing a lot of paper there. I don't know what paper you're rushing, but...
All right. The designation for the CONCACAF license is akin to the accreditation of an academic program at a tertiary level institution. So they were offering the program, but the program has to be vetted and validated before it gets the designation. So the program has to be in operation. The tutors have to be of the standard accepted for the designation to be afforded. In the case of a academic institution, the professors would have to have the requisite PhDs and what have you not to get the accreditation. So it's not just the institution that is being accredited, it is the program that is actually accredited. So Trinidad FA were given the go-ahead to offer the program, but they would not have gotten the designation without fulfilling the requirements of CONCACAF, the licensing body. Understand?
Yes.
Or yeah. So that is why they could go ahead and issue the certification in 2023, but the designation or the accreditation would not have come because the program operation would need to have unfolded for it to be assessed and validated.
Right, we agree with that. But the problem is, then the question is, why would the Gleaner report something which may not be accurate?
All right. The Gleaners did a risky thing in that it banked on the fact that they would have been accredited in short order, which is not a certainty because you have institutions who wait years for accreditation after having applied.
Yeah, but Carl, you can't be a doctor until you get your medical license.
No.
You can't be a CPA until you get your CPA.
Cranky.
You have to pass the exam first. You have to pass the exam first. There's a difference between I have a program in Trinidad. That's not CONCACAF.
Cranky.
Yes.
The Trinidad FA was given the okay to run the program.
Right.
But CONCACAF is the assessor.
Right.
They're the licensing authority.
Okay.
So while the program is unfolding, they are assessing the tutors in the program, they're assessing the conditions under which the program is offered, and they're assessing also the product of the program.
Right.
So
go ahead.
So, as is the case with a tertiary level institution, for example, a university, let's take, for example, call a program, the nursing program at Northern Caribbean University.
Right.
West Indies College offered the nursing program for years before it was actually accredited. And when it got accreditation, all of the certification handed out by the institution falls under the said accreditation because it is that program output that was assessed to obtain the accreditation. So while the Trinidad FA did not have the CONCACAF designation, the license that Speed and etc. received in 2023 now falls under the CONCACAF designation because CONCACAF is actually validating or substantiating what their certification says.
Now, I understand all of that. In fact, it's no longer validated. They have substantiated. That's why they gave the recognition in December.
Yes.
The point I'm making, you can't make an assumption that your program is going to meet all the qualification required to get the accreditation until it occurs.
The Gleaner ran that risk.
Okay, well, bad risk.
The Gleaner ran that risk in the hope or believing that they would have met the required standard and would have received the designation. That is what you call prophetic. because there are institutions who have waited 5 or more years for accreditation, and such is the business or the life.
We don't want
of
our newspapers
certification.
to be prophetic. We want them to be accurate. We are not in the prophecy here, but our newspaper now they're not prognosticating the future. We don't want our newspaper to prognosticate the future. Tell us what the facts are, right? We're not in the prophecy.
Cranky, I am in agreement with you on that. Journalism is supposed to be truthful.
Yes.
Supposed to be.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times, there are journalists, one, who are liars blatantly, and two, journalists who have not done due diligence in their information preparation for reporting. In those two instances, it amounts for a lot of the information put out by our media houses that have been false.
Yeah.
So this one worked out good for the gleaner. But do you not know that there have been reports put out by our media houses for which they have had to retract and apologize?
Yeah, and it happens, but it's not necessarily the most frequent thing. But
it is not the frequent thing, and it is not something that should be promoted.
Right, exactly. And here's the point, actually. So us YouTubers get, I say, disrespected in terms of, as I heard somebody, a very prominent person in Jamaica says, I don't go to these press conferences anymore because YouTube them take over. Almost as if them look at money and come and take over the thing and we run things and we're all brilliant and we're knowledgeable and all that. And my view is that in every discipline, even though somebody's a more trained journalist, you're gonna have people, there are levels to this thing across the board, right? You can't make an assumption about somebody because you have your view as to what good looks like. You can't make that assumption. So I would say this is that over time you realize that people's agenda sometimes make the print versus facts and actuality. Your agenda should be making it. You should only make the print if it's an opinion you're providing, not provide an idea, a perspective as if it's fact. That's not the point.
I'm going to add something to what you just said. In the past, BBC reporters used only standard English. That is a lost art.
Right.
BBC's anything now. You don't have no English media house anymore. Not even the ones operating in England that I've listened to don't come across as this is Volvo says safety is their marketing tool.
Yeah.
BBC no longer prides themselves as being the Puritans of reporting in
you know what that is sometimes, people, right? So let's be transparent on this, which is this. In a lot of instances, you're competing against individuals who are not adhering to what's deemed to be the normal operating environment, the standard, right? They're not conforming and you're conforming, you're at a disadvantage. So then you change your standards and your method and sometimes your morality to fit in, which you're between a rock and a hard place.
You lose morality in trying to conform to the standards that are now emanating from the world. So you give up standards and proper procedure. You give up the truth to conform. So I, like you, don't have that luxury. I believe morality and truth is supposed to be what obtains.
Right.
And for that matter, I can only caution the Jamaican gleaner, since I am a Jamaican, that your calculative risk taking will not always happen in your best interests all the time. And it won't always happen that way. But kudos to you. You trusted in the program and it materialized. And dare I say that, like you were echoing, I am happy that our coaches who have been licensed in this program now cannot excuse that they have not the opportunity to coach abroad.
Right.
because this designation of the license affords you the opportunity to coach anywhere in CONCACAF. United States, Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, everywhere in CONCACAF. So let's see which of our newly certified coaches, designated CONCACAF licensed coaches, will venture out across the deep waters.
Yes, we look forward to it.
Yes,
All right,
that's one.
Yeah,
That's one. The situation with Craig Butler.
But that was just the first one.
Yeah, that was the first one. You had
Man, I
3
warm up.
points. You had three things. You said I should wait to call back after you have done the 3 things.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were gonna be all 3 and more, but go ahead. Go ahead. We have latitude night tonight.
When Shields made the statement that Jamaica is a lawless society, a lot of...
Wait, 1 second. Explain to people who Shields was, because everybody knows who Shields is, right?
He was the England donated lead for policing in Jamaica. He was gifted to us, to Jamaica, by England to help solve the crime problem. He was leading the effort in Jamaica. And his summation after things went haywire, when he did his best, is that, or was that, Jamaica is a lawless society. And he said that because of what he found to be present in the police force, in the government support for illegal, wanton acts. And so he declared publicly Jamaica a lawless society. No wonder people come in the comments of your show and present an adverse opposite side to you reading the FIFA protocol document as what is supposed to be the governance of football operated in the world. You find people who are quick to present what they call alternative facts, alternative truth. And this word alternative has now become tabooed, so to speak, because it is a lie shrouded in or covered in acceptability, so to speak. So you're telling a lie a nice way. There is no way that a person who operates as an agent is supposed to have you quoted the percentage, 5% is what is in the document that you were reading. Craig Butler, by virtue of the interview I saw when it became Vera Phoenix, supposedly have more than 5%.
It was just an example. You shouldn't have any ownership interest. You can have a membership, but you shouldn't have any ownership. So the 5% was an example of a case study to say, if you have a 5% interest in this scenario, but you shouldn't have any, you can't be an owner and be an agent. That's the point.
Good. Craig Butler, from the interview, from his own words, allegedly has more than 5%. I can't say he does because I have not seen the contractual document pertaining to the arrangement. So I'm going to say, based on what he has said, he allegedly has more than 5%. So he is part owner, which would subject him to that constitutional clause from FIFA. You cannot operate as an agent. Now, I dare anyone to shroud what they are saying under the fact that he's not a licensed agent, to say Craig Butler has not operated as an agent or is not operating as an agent. because that is the biggest part of Craig Butler's promotion in selling players. That's what he does. He markets players. That's what he does more than anything that he has owned. So with or without license, you're operating as such. Thereby, the clear conflict exists. But, Cranky, the state in Jamaica now is that the only conflict that they will see in football is that which Rudolph Speed is involved in.
Yeah, I
So-
don't know what the rationale for that is, frankly, but as I've been told that there's much more conflict also in the JFF, and that's one of Rudolph's contention. I'm just calling him out. Well, I'm not calling the other conflicts, but I don't know of them. As I learn about these conflicts, I call them out.
And I'm saying you will get a lot of people jumping on that bandwagon because of whatever preference they have. So they will clearly point out Speed's conflict. And I'm not saying they don't exist because we are not blind, but they will hog up Butler's conflict. To the point of this agent speaking about the $50,000, a contractual arrangement is in place for a reason. There is a parable in the Bible on this very matter. Jesus went out, spoke about this owner hiring people to do a job, and he started in the morning. And 1 hour before the day is done, he hired a person to do the job. At the end of the day, he paid everybody the same wages as per the contractual arrangement. People bellyached that this person only worked 1 hour but got the day's pay. You cannot bellyache over what your contract that you signed stipulates. So if it is even $5, and if it's a disrespect, you should not have signed that contract. So you cannot fault Veer Phoenix for paying him 50,000 Jamaican dollars, no matter how insulting it is for an international player. I don't care. You signed the contract. You should be ashamed of yourself to declare yourself as the player's agent, but allow him to sign that you call an insult. That's one. Secondly, whatever the buyout clause presented by the club to which he signed is, you either take it or leave it. It's a business. I am not saying it is fair for Craig to have him for whatever period of time and charge that. It doesn't matter. That is the price. If there's a breach of contract where it is in his contract that he was to be picked up, because that is something I heard the agent say, he was to be picked up for training. If that is not being done, the player then can file a suit for a breach of his contract because that has been broken. If the player had in his contract stipulated game time, game minutes, and he's not afforded that, he can also file a suit for that. Those are ways to get out of the contract if the club has breached the contract in those aspects. So don't go publicly. I think this agent is more Jamaican than he's Guyanese, you know. Jamaicans love go to pity party, you know. Because I cannot understand, how do you speak as a professional without sticking to the contractual arrangement that you sign on to?
Right, but I think part of the whole situation I see is that we have to ensure that our young people have the appropriate representative when they're going to get into contractual situations, because they will not be able, as a young kid, 19, 20, most of them, to understand the specificity within contracts, what it entails. They have to get good representation. Now, sometimes representation costs money, but I don't know what that agent was doing and maybe he wasn't the
this is
agent
why
then.
I am
Where
pointing
was
out
he in
I
the
haven't
process?
spoken
Yes,
and this is why I haven't spoken about the failure on the part of the player.
right.
Is this man that is talking about him being agent?
Yeah,
Because that's
yeah. Because
your
he's just telling Toxic Boss to let the player go,
To let
as
you
if
cannot
as if
do
as
that.
if it's
You have a
Moses.
contract.
It's like Moses.
You have a contract.
You have a contract, yes.
So you cannot make those utterances. You look like a fool, a buffoon, publicly
Yes.
making those statements. Whether or not it is fair for Craig Butler to demand it is not an issue.
Yeah.
What you need to do is, if it was that the contractual arrangement is that he's to be picked up for training session and he is not being picked up for, then you file a suit and take yourself out of the contract.
Yes, true. Yeah.
So
I mean, then again, if you can't afford to pay the $5,000, we don't get money from to file a suit. Because it may cost you $5,000 just to file a suit.
No. You see, this is where knowing legal systems come in to play. Guyana has some British connections, so they have similar court system to Jamaica. I bet you there is a lawyer that will take it up on pro bono and force Craig them to pay the legal fees.
I don't know
Once they
about
win
that.
the suit.
That's a stretch to me. That's a stretch.
No. It is not a stretch understanding what the legal system affords. If you have a problem and you aren't able to pay
Right.
the legal fees to update, because every single person is entitled to legal representation.
Yeah, but most time pro bono lawyers are not the best lawyers either. There's a reason why they're pro bono lawyers. It's unless you have somebody in a law firm trying to do some goodness, so they allocate some of their lawyers to do charitable work.
Sometimes good lawyers seek profiling opportunities.
Yes, I would agree with that, but I'm just saying that's not the norm. That's not the norm. People want to be paid for their services.
Yes. But lawyers will take it on to get paid at the end if you don't have to pay at the beginning.
Yeah, if they think it's probable to win versus possible to win, for example. Right?
Yes. All right. So I am shooting again at what does the contract stipulates.
Right.
Because if it is in the contract that he is to be picked up to go to training and he is not being picked up, that's a breach of contract. Now, if the contract don't have that in there, there is no case.
Right. Okay.
If that was just word of mouth, there is no case. So all of those things will have to be taken into consideration.
Okay.
And the fact of the matter is, I believe as professionals, especially when you go to speak publicly, you must be cognizant of the fact that not everybody in the world is below your level of education. There are some people who are at your level and there are those who are above. So please be kind to yourself and be respectful of others. Don't just talk because you have voice, because that's what I got from him talking about this situation that the players in, and seemingly the players in a dire situation put there by this agent.
Right.
It is the failure.
Well, I don't know if this agent did it.
Problem.
Is it really this agent, or this agent assumed?
Whoever the agent was that put him there is responsible for his situation.
Okay.
And no matter how you want to demonize the toxic boss, this is.
No,
I don't
pass that. But I'm saying,
you not in the sense that you.
I know what you're saying, but I'm saying I don't know if it's demonizing or people call out what they see, because if you create a situation, people gonna call it out, right?
But if you can't, we're cranky.
But I didn't in this case demonize the person. And no, you're talking about you as a general you. Point I'm making is that in this situation, I did point out that he's right in terms of the fact
for
that
whatever fee he deems necessary.
Yes, even if it's unreasonable, yes, he's asked for it.
Yeah.
If you want it, you paid.
And if it is that he's been opportunistic, seeing a failure and trying to maximize his profits, that's on him. He will deal with that on God. It was on the agent to ensure that you protect.
So, Pastor, you have one more minute because I'm getting the call. The person calling back.
I don't need the other minute, and I'm
Okay.
not going to speak on the Mason Greenwood issue.
Okay.
I don't need the other minute. Have a good night.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate the call. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. You're my last caller because it's 2 hours, and I only do 2 hours. Hello? You're my last caller. You get to close the show. You get to close the show. You get to close the show. You get to close the show.
You can't tell me to call back. You can tell me to call back.
Go ahead. You're no, but I know, but he called like number of times before. I would be unfair to text him and say you're the next person, and then when the time comes, he never comes. No, I couldn't do that. No, I'm about being equitable and fair, regardless of affiliation. I don't use nepotism to operate my platform.
So I know
Go ahead.
I know Tony might be sleeping at this moment.
Oh Lord!
So I go help Tony.
Tony's sleeping. It's 1 o'clock in the UK. Tony's sleeping. Tony dropped out.
So I go help Tony out because I think Tony seemed to have been a little bit uncomfortable with your statement, just like I am.
I know this. Anybody say anything bad about Saka, Arsenal fans lose their mind.
No, but you're saying that it's not that Saka and Arsenal, but you're saying that Mason Greenwood is a better player because he uses both feet.
No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that's a differentiating factor. But if you look at the total as a player, he's just a better footballer. Okay, here's a question. Here's a question for you. What can Saka do that Mason Greenwood can't do?
What can Saka do?
There are two questions. What can he do that Mason can do? And what does Saka have in his repertoire that Mason doesn't have? And what does he do better than Mason? What does he do better than Mason?
Tony is still listening. Look, I think
Tony not gonna sleep tonight. Hey, Tony will beat me tomorrow. So go ahead.
We football, when we look at football, it's a little bit more. Just people always talk about a lot of things around in football, not just maybe the fact that you can score a goal and that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
I think I'm not going to fight you for your opinion, but I think you might need to reconsider.
Yeah. Should I play the Alex Ferguson? Do you rate Alex Ferguson as a manager and a knowledgeable football person?
I respect what he has accomplished, but it's not somebody that has spent a lot of time trying to understand how he was doing it.
So Chris Smith make a good point, by the way. Chris Smith just said Saka's defensive work is better than Mason. I don't disagree with that, actually. I don't disagree with that. But Mason is paid to put the ball in the goal, and so is Saka.
It's not going to take you long. I know it's not going to take you long to get frustrated if Mason Greenwood come and play for Jamaica and he's not tracking back to defend. It's going to take you long.
You're right, but you got to track back. You can't play. You can't play 10 against 11. I know De Berzy was mad with him about that sometime, but you play. But then again, we have seen situations where some players are given that latitude, right? But when you play wing, you can't be given that latitude. You can hide in the middle of the park. You can't hide on the wings. Actually, you can't hide. So, which is why Arteta loves Martinelli, because he runs all day.
And I want to say to you, I think you should. I heard you earlier saying that you wasn't happy with Arsenal performance today. Arsenal need your support, and Arsenal, despite Arsenal lack of performances, would you rather Arsenal be in 13th spot right now?
I would rather Arsenal bother, striker, and so we should be winning things. People. Let me just sit up before you go further before the game. People, there's some people on this earth who don't have to, who have shorter time to wait for titles than others. Let me just say that. It's been over 20 years. How long are we supposed to wait?
It's coming.
What's like Jesus?
It's coming.
Like Jesus?
It's a few months away.
It's like Jesus?
It's a few months away.
Since I was born, I hear Jesus is coming. I ain't seen him yet.
It's less than 6 months away.
Like I said before, that coming thing that you guys keep talking about, we said that this is our year because we came second twice in a row. We bottled it twice in a row. Here's the problem with the coming thing. When you're coming and you haven't come, there are people behind you who goes by you. You see, Nottingham Forest now want to buy players because they have a person who is all about winning and he's going to do everything he bought, or technical person, director, and now he's trying to buy some of the better players, and he's in 4th place. You never can be guaranteed tomorrow, but you're guaranteed today. Chelsea will be better. Nottingham Forest will be better. Newcastle will be better. We don't have any guarantees. We need to win. Tony, say I've seen titles in my lifetime. Yeah, Tony, I haven't seen any in 20 years, Tony. I forgot what they look like. I know you're the eternal optimist. I know you're the eternal optimist, and you're very positive, and you want to have positive reinforcement. That's not cranky.
Well, I think I understand also what's happening with Arsenal, and I believe I'm hoping that the injuries, everybody will be fit again, and the team is going to reach a level that they were at last season in the first part of the season at the right time. I think that's what's going to happen, because imagine the team has not played at that level this season and is still in 2nd place and is in the top 8. I mean, City is not sure to make it through the top 8.
They may not. I don't think they're gonna make it. Not the way they're playing. Actually, not the way they're leaking goals.
Yeah, today they're not closing people down. The ball watching. There's a lot of things wrong with that.
But before you go, here's a question for you, because I think this is important. When Klopp first came, right? When Klopp first came, he pressed vehemently. He pressed hard. And at some point in his team got tired, right? Especially in their first season. And he saw the manager's pressing going forward. You think these players that play for Man City, including Sterling, by the way, are burnt out? Because they played so hard for all those years? Because when you used to win the ball against City, they were like on you like sharks. You didn't get the breathing room. Now you get room to breathe.
Look, what Man City is going through something, but they have dominated for 8 years now, 7 years, 7 out of 8 years. I mean, that's just outstanding. So for me, it's understandable. I am intrigued by whether or not Pep could get them back on track by next season. That's what's intriguing to me, and how he's going to do it. I think he's a guy that I think some of this he's responsible for, because when he talks a lot about his tactics. He gave away more information than most managers do. And all those shows they did on is it Amazon or wherever it is they have those shows. He gave away a lot. And so maybe this is a consequence of that that he's talking about. But let me get to why I wanted to chime in. The conversation about the young man that you all are having, the player.
You mean which young man? You sound like me saying toxic boss. He doesn't have a name.
Ravi. No.
Yeah. Oh, that's the the one. Yes.
Nobody didn't suggest to me that I have to be brave, but nobody suggested that to you just.
Well, somebody told me I'm not brave, so you be brave.
Yeah. But they didn't say it to me. Look, that conversation is an interesting one. And sometimes in the Caribbean, there's a saying that, we like to play smart with foolishness, right? The people involved knows what's right, but then they pretend not to know what's going on, how to do things. Here, what I'm hearing, or what I'm thinking while I listen to all of these conversations. Do you think, let me ask you a question, do you or anybody in the comment section think that a football club or club owners anywhere in the Caribbean could become wealthy or become rich by transferring players between clubs in the Jamaican Premier League or in the TTFA, TTPFL, or any of the leagues in the Caribbean?
That's a rhetorical question, isn't it?
No, it's a serious question.
No, but it's a rhetorical question to me.
Right.
Not in my in your lifetime.
Right, because we're just talking, I saw Football Guru said that the price that has been requested for the player is overpriced. It's $1 million Jamaican dollars, which equates to 6,600 somewhere around there US dollars, right?
Yeah.
And that's considered high. So all of the clubs in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, in Trinidad, wherever, the opportunity for them to make real money and players would be to selling players overseas.
Yep.
Would you agree with that?
Yes. To make real money. Yeah.
Right. So why it is among ourselves in the region Why it is everybody's trying to be the next Daniel Levy or the next Jim Ratcliffe or the next Glazer, right? Why it is we don't create an environment where we can have a more amicable relationship, right? When it comes to these things, right? So that the player could find himself in a position where he could be transferred, where real money would be made and everybody would benefit. So if the player went from before the game FC to Cranky Live FC, okay, if we have a fee that's reasonable and we could sell the player and move him on, that's great. But if we can't come to an agreement, well, maybe we made the transfer and we put a clause in the transfer that if the player transfers for real money, before the game gets a percentage of the fee. Because that's where the money is going to be made. Cranky FC is not going to pay me any money, any real money that's going to affect my life in any way. Isn't that correct?
Well, yes and no, actually. So I understand the concept and the fact that in a different environment where resources are scarce, you may have to operate differently. But for some people, you hear Rudolph speak coming here and saying his budget is less than $1 million a year from what he was talking about. So $1 million may be a decent number because what's the average compensation?
I think he said 100,000.
100,000 Jamaican, which is no money. No money, so. Basically. Yeah. No, he said 100,000, which is 10 times less than $1 million. And you hear what's the average compensation in Jamaica? It's probably about what, $6,000-7,000 a year. Probably the average comp.
What, 6,000-7,000 what?
US dollars.
US
a year. Could be about 8. Anywhere between 6 and 8, I think it is. Anywhere between 6 and 8. I thought it was 12.
You average with that.
No,
maybe a couple of clubs.
No, I thought it was 12. And I researched last night. A friend of mine who's an attorney was calling me. We were arguing about one of my programs that I had about the jacket thing. And I was saying it was 12 because what I read a while ago and we read the research, it's less than 12. So I'm gonna say 6 to 8. So if he's gonna get $60-something $100, that's a decent amount of money. It was the average compensation for somebody.
But somebody said when they call in just now, they say in the world of football. So in the world of football, that is no money.
No, we got to be very careful with that. No. It's money in Jamaica though. It's money in Jamaica.
Yeah, but listen to the point I'm making though. If we want to look, are we investing in becoming the next Daniel Levy, or are we investing in creating an environment where we can set up our young people to be successful in life?
We got to be very careful with that. This is Jamaica. This is the Caribbean. It's a me society. It's not a we society.
I don't know what that means.
So this is this is not a we society. It's a me society. It's about what I can get. I'm not thinking about the collective. I'm not thinking about helping people in general. I'm thinking about I have youngsters with me. That's how I view it, and I'm trying to maximize what I can get out of them. Right? I'll help them along the way, but it's about me getting a return on my investment. You're having an altruistic discussion around, you know what, we should help these guys develop, become better persons, maximize their potential. I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, so you're saying that in the Caribbean, we are incapable of being better.
I didn't say that. I don't want nobody coming to box me. So I mean, I said that.
So what are you saying then? What are you saying? Because,
I'm saying in the Caribbean. So the Caribbean people are selfish. No, people are selfish. It's not the Caribbean alone, but I'm just saying people are selfish, right? Which means it's about me. It's about me. It's about me. It's not about we. Now we can say that about the US too with Trump and his people, but that's how it is. That's how I view it.
No, but I think that we invest so much time in looking across the pond and trying to be like what we are seeing there. We have to understand that. But we have to understand also because, you know, in football, when we hire coaches from outside, we said we want them to come and understand our environment. But are we trying to understand our environment?
That's not always true though, because you hire a coach.
But that's what they say.
No. Let me give a tangible example. I think we have a coach of Jamaica national team and for the Trinidad national team. Does the Trinidad coach live in Trinidad and does the Jamaica coach live in Jamaica? No.
As far as I'm aware, the Trinidad coach is not living in Trinidad.
Exactly. So he may understand the culture, so he may be a bad example. But the coach in England, who we hired from England, he ain't living in Jamaica. He gonna understand no culture. He may be exposed to it in England, but he ain't going to Jamaica to learn no culture. So we may have that goal, but sometimes the coaches have negotiate a position of strength and decide that's not how they want to operate.
But my point is that we understand that is probably necessary, important, in him doing the best job that he could possibly do, right? So we understand that, we say that, but it doesn't happen. So why aren't we trying to understand our environment, understand how we can make our environment better so we can benefit for what's happening in the rest of the world? Because nobody, the owners of the clubs in the TTPFL and in the JPL, they're not going to become wealthy selling players in between each other. So,
right, and they may already be wealthy. Who knows? But I would agree with that.
But so I don't understand why it is we're not working to create an environment where these things can happen.
But we got to be careful too, because this is an individual case, right? We don't know holistically how this transpired, but it's an individual case where we're seeing it play out in the public domain, and it's not a pretty situation. There are human aspects to this, and you walk away being very disappointed in all the parties involved. That they could, what one party is saying, look, I spent resources, I need to be compensated, which I don't think anyone would deny. What you're saying is that maybe you get compensated, but it's a later date versus today.
Yeah, because it happens with football clubs and contracts. You get some money up front, maybe a little bit of money up front. You get some when the player makes another move. Because if we're gonna bring players around us in a professional setup, there must be some belief that we have in these players that they could perform, that we can develop them. They can help the football club in the moment, and we can develop them to go on to bigger and better things, especially the younger ones, right? If that belief isn't there, then why are we doing it? Why are we involved with that? These, at the end of the day, these are our young people. And when you look at what's happening away from football in the Caribbean, right, you can't disconnect that the behavior that we see sometimes is connected. Because we get to know about some of the things, we don't get to know about all of the things. And football is a out for kids, mainly from the impoverished communities, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, here's what's strange, but people don't seem to realize, right?
Well, let me finish your point.
All right.
The football is mainly played by kids from the impoverished community. They see football as a way out from their condition, to help their mother, to help their father, to help the family, right? And when we get in the way, I am sure it creates a frustration for them, right? They are angry, they get angry, and we just have to do better than that as adults.
Yeah, so that's like this is gonna sound bad, me saying it. That's like a utopian view of life. It's not utopia.
Well,
it's far from it.
No, we can't look at it that way. I think that's a defeatist way of looking at it, right? We can create. How come Qatar? How come if you look at any strategic plan from Qatar or Saudi Arabia, and in the very first page, the first 2 pages, one of the things you see or hear when you listen to them is that we are doing this for our young people.
Right. So let me say this: the football group.
Utopia. If you have kids, you do a lot of things for your kids. So if I want the best for my children, how do I be involved with other people's children and don't want the best?
But you're conflating 2 things, though.
No.
You're gonna hear what you're conflating, or you just get frustrated and say, "What are you talking about?"
No, tell me. I'm not.
So you just mentioned Qatar as the example. Qatar is a country versus a private organization, which is profit oriented, right? So Qatar may have this humanistic, altruistic way of operating to say, I want to make sure all my citizens in the country benefit. I'm going to do the best and make sure that they have the best situation, the best setup, the best opportunities, right? That's what countries do. That's what governments are put in position to do. If I'm a private institution, organization, and my job is profits, I got to generate profits, I have to get rid of some of those things that you're talking about, which may be ethical or even moral in some respects, that you think are normalized, and it's trying to benefit the general population. I'm a profit-oriented organization. I have shareholders or owners who are going to generate the income that I need to operate. I have to leave some things at the door, right? That's how it's ought to work. Now, you could say, well, even those organizations should think in the best interest of players, but if you equate it to what's happening across the world in the football world, that's not how it works. It's about profit and profit generation, and there's more money coming in football in any single jurisdiction you go to, and people are focused on the end goal, which is generating profits. The Qatar, the Spain, The Norways, yes, they should be in the altruism world of saying every person's kids should get an opportunity to play football, and so the best situation and best facilities to do really well. But we can't make the same. We can't analogize that with the old view about clubs and the situation we're talking about, which is Toxic Boss and Ravi and those kids. It's a different construct. Would you agree with that?
Well, it's if you are right, if you are correct, it's very discouraging. Okay, it's very discouraging, and you and everybody else is wasting time, right? Because you're saying that we cannot do better.
No, what I'm saying is this, and I've said it to people in the YouTube space, which is this: each person who has a platform has to use should try to use their platform for good and to make change. And yes, the journey is difficult. It's not like some politician who go into politics with the best of intention. Kind of every politician go into politics just to make money. And when they look around and they're like, you know what, this system is broken. I'm just gonna get my own because I can't change it. There's some people going, they have the best of intentions and they give up because the system is so pervaded, they're so terrible, it's so awful, it's so corrupt that they just give up. Right? I think every YouTuber has the ability, has the platform, have the acumen to provide their perspective, and maybe they can help make changes here and there. It may not even be material, but as you're saying, it can't be a defeatist attitude and say, I'm not going to try it. But we also got to deal with reality sometimes. And we got to say reality, because if I give you a utopian view of life and it's not reality, you're going to walk away saying, I don't know what this man is talking about. I live at XYZ and this is how it works.
You say in utopia, I don't believe it is, because again, from experience, as an individual, you have the opportunity to put people's children first before profit. We're talking about human beings. And for me, personally, I work with kids. And I'm telling you, hear what I think about, right? One of the most important things that I deal with the kids I work with is when they get of age and they say to me, Coach, you've always been honest with me. For me, that's a big deal, number one. And number two, at 70 years old, 40 years from now when I'm 70.
So what are we counting? Dog years? People, we are calling dog years. We call dog years. We call it dog years.
Hold on. Can you imagine? Because the kids you come in contact with, some of them get to play pro football, some go to college.
Yeah.
Could you imagine walking in to an emergency room and facing a doctor who despise you because you didn't treat them properly as a kid? Could you imagine that as a 70-year-old person?
Yeah, that happens sometime, but it's not norm, right?
No, but these are the things sometimes that we have to think about when it comes to doing what's right. You know, at 70 years old, you're coming out to the grocery store and a kid is robbing you, a kid that you had a chance to set on the right path and you didn't do it. You didn't do it because you were concerned about your own profits.
Before the game, I gotta cut you. Where do you live again? You live in the US? No, I'm just curious. You live in the Caribbean in the US. Where you live? No, I'm just curious. Eh?
Yeah.
You live in the US. You live in the US, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought the US just elected a criminal to be the president. I thought the US just let go a ton of people who are arrested and some going to jail for 20, 15 years for treason. I thought they just pardoned them.
And that's the beauty. That too will pass.
Huh?
That too will pass. That will pass.
It will pass?
That too will pass.
With a Supreme Court that's majority conservative that gave the president immunity?
Yeah, but that will pass. How many times?
Maybe the Caribbean will pass. Maybe the Caribbean will pass too.
Hold on.
Maybe the Caribbean will pass to people. It pass in the Caribbean.
Okay, so here what we do. If we look back a little bit.
Yeah.
On many occasions, we have heard the sky is falling when it comes to the US, right? And the sky is still in place, right? You've seen progress. You continue to see progress. Where you live, you don't have to worry about crime. You don't worry about crime. You hear about it. You see it on the television, right? But you don't have to worry about it, right? You're pretty safe.
I don't think I think that's most people in the US. Even the people who live in difficult circumstances, if they stay out of trouble, they don't meet trouble. People don't seem to realize this, A lot of people get in trouble. There's random crime, don't get me wrong. A lot of people get in trouble. They're in trouble. They're doing things which are going to cause them pain. Most people who are law-abiding citizens are not experiencing that. Right? People don't seem to realize that. Look at the stats. Stats are clear. You do bad things gonna follow you. You do good things, it may follow you, but it's not the same as the person who's doing bad things.
How long you left the Caribbean?
I can't recall. It's so long. But
It's
I've
a
been.
long time, right? A few decades.
Yes.
You played football in the Caribbean.
I played football in high school.
Right.
Yeah. But it was different football then that is now. In terms, for a lot of different reasons. Yeah.
Are the fields any better today than they were when you were playing?
In some places, yes. In some places, no. It's a fact. It's true. No, actually, when I was in Jamaica, a lot of JPL teams had no really good fields or decent facilities. I should say field and facilities. Sometimes people use them synonymous, but your facilities make it better. But is the turf you play on is that much better? I think it's better now. Actually, at least for JPL teams, if you go around the island, it's distributed. I think things are better than they were when I was playing. Yes, I think they're better.
You think it's better compared?
Yeah, I think it's better. I think it's better.
If you look at the same time period, right? We watch a lot of English football. You look at the same time period in England, right? In front of the goal mouth, there's no grass. Sometimes the middle of the pitch, no grass. That's what it was in the same time period, right? Do you see that today?
Yeah, but so there are a lot of factors, as you know, right? Whether it's just wait. You asked my question. Whether it's just the weather itself, because the weather is a factor. People shouldn't disregard the weather as a factor. In England, it rains 24/7. Everything is green. Everything is green. The resources are also a big factor. And the people making decisions and in position of power and the administration are also a factor. There's a multitude of factors, like everything else in the Caribbean, that precludes you from getting to where you need to get to. There's like a vision. There's like a strategy. I hear Football Guru here protesting vehemently and talking about plans. Then Football Guru don't know what he's talking about because you don't understand what a strategy is and what plans are and how transparent you are. Because you go on those websites, Football Guru, for Spain and all those countries, like before the game is alluding to, and you will see that they have the plans out there and they're outlined. I get frustrated when you come here, Football Guru, when you talk your sense in your own mind and not branching on and say, you know what? Let me go look at Spain's plan and strategy. You don't do that. You come here and espouse your view. You don't go look at Spain's plan and say, let me look at what Spain has done. And yeah, maybe before the game he's saying something that makes sense. No, you don't do that. You do like a typical Jamaican does or a typical people in administration. This is typical Jamaican. You come and you push back and you protest and you don't do your homework. Go ahead before the game. My rant is done.
No. I think he knows. There are people that knows what's going on. As I started, I said sometimes we play smart with foolishness, right? We know what's going on. We know what is supposed to happen.
But that's part of the problem.
No, that is the problem because what you are saying, I believe that the region could be and should be in a much better situation than it is today, right? I believe we have the potential. Look, I don't know why Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, or both, is not a regular contender for World Cup at the youth level and grade. I certainly believe that shouldn't be in question.
Maybe because they had Trinidad license and not CONCACAF license.
Say that again?
Maybe because they had Trinidad license, not CONCACAF license. Now they have CONCACAF license, they'll be better. I'm sure they'll be better. I'm sure they're going to be better. They have CONCACAF license now.
No, it's not just around licensing. There's a whole host of other things that if we correct them, and we can correct them, because I think it's just a shift in mentality. If we correct them, and we would set these kids up to be successful.
So let me just say this before we go. The administrations in the Caribbean, the people in the seats, a lot of them, and I say not all of them, they think they know everything, which is what they accuse YouTubers of being, right? They're the ones that know everything. They don't want to see a suggestion. People like Dennis Strong will say, you know what? We hear what you say. We have made some changes based on your suggestion. Not necessarily me, but other YouTubers. But there are some people who believe they know everything. And the problem you have is the same old people recycled. The changes are not coming. They're not material enough. They're not frequent enough. They're not the volume they need to be. The ideas are stale and old. and they don't believe in changing position because it benefits them individually. I keep talking about this. It doesn't benefit the collective, but they don't care because it's benefiting them. They have to eat our food. And until they change and the mindset change and the culture change, we're going to be having this conversation on a continuous basis.
All right, but let's try to encourage some change. I'm sending you something.
You're sending me money? Because that's the only thing I want to receive.
Yeah. For you
is that Apple? Is that Apple Pay money?
Yeah, Apple Pay. So you can put on your screen. You're talking like you're in the.
It's all about money now. Focus on the money. So you send me a picture.
Yeah, put that on your screen for whoever might be interested, because I think it's I've gotten it for my kids. I bought a copy for a friend of my kid who's in the game as well. And from reading it, I find it's also right, because you always mention that people get into their feelings a lot when they get feedback about certain things, right?
Right.
And I would recommend you get a copy as well. It's a very, very good read.
So what does it? Oh, this is a book.
Yeah, it's a very, very good read.
And it says, "Thanks for the book name is Thanks for the Feedback, with thanks and feedback very pronounced. The science and art of receiving." Now I'm trying to do that, but it's stuck out here. Let me just see if I can do this. It's hard for me to. I'm about to show a screen I don't want to show it off. That's what JFF thing on my thing. Let me try to show it. Let me just try to show it. Let me see if I can do it.
I know going to actually be a Jason Wood.
So yeah. Let me just bring this up. See that, people? It said, "Thanks for the feedback, the science and art." Don't look anywhere else. Just look at that. I'm gonna take it down now. I want you to see what's on my files. Thanks for the feedback.
All of that go away, innit?
It ain't going away. People gonna see what's there. But it's a lot of JFF stuff. It's all Mason Greenwood JFF stuff. So Mason Greenwood JFF, whatever it is. But yeah, no. Interesting. I mean, look. If you grew up in corporate, you grew up getting feedback, right? Yeah. I said, if you grew up in corporate, you grew up giving and getting feedback. So
yeah, and sometimes we don't respond well to it, right? We what I find from years of talking to people in the region, if there's a difference of opinion, it quickly turns into a personality conflict.
Right.
As opposed to, let's discuss the idea, whatever it is we are discussing. Let's keep our comments towards that, and that makes it difficult. Caribbean leaders no more.
So that's the brilliant, excellent, knowledgeable football guru who agreed that all the fans are morons and the JFF and all these administration are brilliant individuals and are doing a wonderful job. And it shows up on the field because we produce a lot of world-class footballers. We have world-class facilities. We have generated revenues to help the football program. We're guaranteed to go to every World Cup. So football guru, you're totally right. Totally agree with you.
The Caribbean leaders know more than the average fan how much resources they have and how much it takes to do what England and USA have to do. The average fan. So when this is troubling because when you bring kids into the world, you have to take care of what your responsibilities are.
And this is not troubling because this is how they think. So a lot of them. This is how they think, and that's the problem. That's the root cause of the problem. We have the wrong people in the seats. You need to get rid of them. But they have gotten the oligopolies. They have found a way to acquire, purchase, or engage, build relationships that will always going to have the voting majority vote for them. Fact, not debatable. So you'll have the same cycle, and we can complain all we want. That ain't changing. So we just got to work with them. And hope they work with us, because they don't have to. As they say, it's a quasi-private. We can't tell them what to do. So we keep being told.
So this is in reference to probably fields, right?
It's in reference to more than fields. It's reference just in general, resources in general.
To my point, why do we call the fans delusional? Again, we go after the fans, and wanting a good football pitch, which is conducive to the development of players, right? How is that a fantasy? We see it all around us.
Yeah, well, football. Before the game, I have to go. It's been 2.5 hours. I appreciate the call. I appreciate the football guru. It's good to have a contrarian in the room who oppose every single thing that may deem to be logical. It's brilliant. Love it. Love it. We can't do without you. I've always believed you have to have contrarians. But boy, I tell you, you pass the contrarian test easily. You don't need no A license. You have your license. You have your contrarian license. In a class by yourself. I've never seen somebody. I knew somebody else engaged like that. If you say A, they say B, and it's all the time. We used to just laugh and say, we used to play games and say, okay, watch this. Let me just say this opposite what I believe. Let's see what he says. You go on the opposite side. Even when he doesn't believe it, he goes on the opposite side. But anyway, before the game, thank you. I appreciate you. Everyone in the chat, before you leave, hit the like button. Thanks for joining. It was a good show.
Thank you. Take care.
I appreciate it. Thanks before the game. Thanks. Have a great night, actually. Everyone, thanks for being here. I got a text from someone said it's still listening. You need to go to bed. It's late and it's in the morning. So everyone, again, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I may be back before the end of the week. I haven't decided yet. Cranky, you theorize. You don't know. Yeah, you're before the game. I theorize. You're from the JFF, so I'm not theorizing. But here's the thing that I accept before the football group. Before you go, here's what theorizing. Jamaica football has not progressed at the level given the raw material it has. In fact, in the Caribbean, period, hasn't progressed. And it's not just about resources. I've always said this, for any company, in any situation, even if the company doesn't have the best product, if you put a great leader in place, you'll be amazed how well that organization does, because that person will figure out a way to get the right products in place to be able to improve their revenue generation situation, right? So if you have great leaders, and the leaders are not just about themselves. Altruism is part of their repertoire. It's how they operate. It's part of their DNA. You'd be amazed at what it can do, especially when you're serving the general public. But in a lot of instances, that's not the case, and that's where we end up where we are. So, everyone, thanks for being here. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you when I see you. Peace out.